We're rolling.
I got some new bath salts.
To put in the bath?
Yeah. What else would you do with bath salts?
They taste pretty good.
That's fucked up, Bryan.
I'm a fucked up guy.
But it's like this, I think they're called like CBD bath salts?
CBD,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the cannabis.
Yeah, because I get high as fuck when I'm bathing in these things.
Yeah,
like,
because they react to the heat.
I know, and like I'm float. Like, it's awesome. I understand why people like the drugs now. Guys, thank you for joining us today on our inaugural return episode of Let's Fight a Boss Cast. I don't quite remember how these went, but that was about right.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
It's been a month and we're drug abusers now. What's going on?
Neither of us have looked at a human face. We are recording this in the same location. We are just about sticking to social distancing rules as much as the architecture of this apartment allows.
I've accidentally both touched your hands this evening.
Seriously?
I know, I treasured it.
Well, you're Hannibal Lecter, so you did like a little finger graze off my finger. I fucking felt that shit, Niamh. When we were passing each other electronics, like, phones and stuff, it's not hard to like fumble our hands touched.
It's
Especially
really
when you're
romantic.
quaking with romantic ecstasy.
There was a quiver and a lustful release.
A lustful release. Oh, now I'm starting to remember this podcast.
Yeah, it's getting intimate.
Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast. The world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with the two most post-apocalyptic podcasters in existence. All society has crumbled since the last point we did a podcast. There's no getting around it. To my left, the wayfarer, the scavenger, the queen of metal. It's Niamh.
I'll eat your ass. I mean, I'll kick your ass.
To my right, they call him the shepherd of the meat puppets. It's the butcher.
You got any scrap metal?
It's Bryan.
For your ass.
For your ass. Gonna cut it raw.
And with you always, I'm your host, the Nameless One. I think that's it. I think that's my new thing.
The Nameless One is a very good name.
Yeah, that's it. So guys, we haven't recorded in a while.
1 month to be exact.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is surreal.
Feels like the world went kind of fucking insane in so many ways.
Yep.
So, sorry, I'm just going to start up this backup recorder because we are using a different setup and I'm spookered.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a weird one because basically, on a personal level, we just had this kind of catastrophic clashing of interests where to varying degrees we all had shit going on in our personal lives and it was not a super great time for us to talk about video games. And then literally a couple of days after that, there was the murder of George Floyd, and it did not feel like a super appropriate time to really do what we do, honestly. I really hope that like this isn't something that I'd have to like confirm or affirm for a lot of people, but like we are 100% on the side of the Black Lives Matter, on the side of the protests, on the side of everything. And it's weird because like a lot of times when I talk about stuff in America, for us there is always this layer of abstraction because we live across the ocean, but I think seeing everything that's happened in America, it has been harrowing and just kind of awful in a way I don't think this stuff even usually feels like, even with that layer of the ocean. And the majority of our audience is in America. God fucking you fuck. I hope that isn't picking up.
It totally is.
It totally is.
You were really speaking from the heart as well.
I was, and now I've lost it. So fuck it. The PlayStation 5, what's the story? Yeah. And, a lot of our audience is in America, and I think just through media and stuff, like, we are very connected to that side of things, but I really hope if you live in America, if you're taking part in the protests, if you're affected by the protests, or just the ongoing kind of horrifying developments over there, really hope you're doing okay, and we are absolutely with you 100%. And it's tricky because there is this balance, I feel like, where you can't look away, because they're especially in people of our positions, we have the ability to look away. A lot of people do not. And that's kind of hard. But then people kind of need a release as well. People need some levity and distraction. And I really hope this podcast kind of brings that to people. I don't know about you guys, but it's definitely just the whole fucking thing has really made me reconsider about what it is to have a platform, what it is to use a platform, and just the struggles that people are going through. I think I'm still reeling from it, honestly, and I don't want this section to go on forever because as a fucking white Irish dude, I don't know what I can say other than just heart absolutely goes out to everyone affected by it, and I really hope everyone's doing okay. This is a way heavier start than I wanted for our super fun return episode, but I'd feel so weird not addressing it.
No, I think it's good to talk about it out in the open at the beginning. It's sparked a worldwide discussion about racism and empathy to everyone.
Yeah.
Looking back at moments in your life and just, dumb stuff you did that was among your friends and, feeling, processing that difficult stuff.
100%. Mm-hmm. I've done and said dumb shit loads throughout my life.
Yeah.
And
just understanding your privilege, coming to terms with that, and trying to be a good ally and trying to understand what we can do in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm incredibly thankful for the life I have, and I really wish everyone a safe life. Keep protesting, keep washing your hands. Just please mind each other.
And now for an absolutely impossible fucking segue. It's I don't want to be disrespectful and be okay, and now move on, because I think this is something that we have all been thinking about and all been struggling with on an ongoing basis. That said, I think the only thing we can provide people right now is a podcast about video games, and I hope that helps, and I hope it's some release. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, let's talk about video games in about 40 minutes. Guys, I watched the last arc of YuYu Hakusho, the Three Kings Saga.
Have you not watched this 10 times already?
You're really asking many questions. So the thing is, I actually haven't. The last season of YuYu Hakusho, if you're unaware, top 3 anime for me. Up there with Hunter x Hunter and one other, and I absolutely love it. I love it so, so much. The last season, though, this was a time in Tagashi's life, the person who wrote it, when his heart was not in it anymore. That poor man was a broken shell at this point, and you can read his epilogue of YuYu Hakusho, his final author's note, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. And basically his body and mind were just giving out on him at this point, and he couldn't do it. And even through the filter of the anime, it's so apparent. There's character arcs being wrapped up really nonsensically. There's one fight in it, and it's about Kurama learning to accept his demon form but also live without it. And he's literally I will win this fight without my demon form. Okay, I might use my demon form a little. Okay, now I will never use my demon form again unless I really need it. It's that's a 20-minute episode. And it really, really doesn't work. And it's kind of heartbreaking because I think as a kid, downloading the Three Kings Saga and watching it over LimeWire, I was just happy to have more YuYu Hakusho. These episodes were so hard to find and the translations were so bad that I think I could nearly fill in the blanks myself. Watching it now, it's wow. It's in the Dark Tournament Saga, which is one of the 2 best arcs. It's a 40-episode saga about this big tournament. The final Demon World tournament takes maybe 8 episodes. and it's got, I think, 12,000 participants.
They all die off screen?
No, they all live. It's really weird.
Okay.
Yeah. There is like some cool points though. It's like you also get Hiei's backstory. Hiei is the Vegeta of Yu Yu Hakusho. He's the number 2 Vegeta in existence. And his backstory is just fucking amazing. And it's so cool that the series makes you wait so long for it, and then it's so satisfying, and he makes so much more sense. And then the actual final episode is just really sweet. All it is the entire gang going to the beach. And it takes place 3 years after everything goes down, and it's like a pitch perfect final episode. But other than that, that final arc it's rough. And it still gets me emotional to see that series ends, and like the way it ends is just kind of, it's just really lovely, and I still love that show even if that arc kind of sucks. Brian, how did you enjoy watching the Three Kings saga?
I liked that Hiei becomes a bodyguard for a very interesting looking demon.
Mikoro?
Yeah.
She's a demon lady with one eye and half her body is a cyborg.
Cool.
It's pretty fucking cool.
She's got a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Kuwabara isn't really in the last arc, is he?
No, he's not. He goes to college or high school.
So they can just opt out of the fighting tournaments to go to school?
You know the way there's like the Piccolo effect? Like when basically you have a bad guy, then he becomes a good guy.
Yeah.
But then like they have to introduce new bad guys and their power just becomes less and less significant.
They kind of like stagger them out.
Yeah, that becomes so hard for Kuwabara that he's like, oh, I'm going to high school.
Good for him.
You know, he seems happy and they come back, and Kuwabara is like popular with girls because he can predict earthquakes. I think that's something girls are into, Niamh.
Yeah, definitely. It's really handy.
Okay, cool. Yeah. It's super sweet though, and I had a very, very fun time watching it. Brian.
Yes.
Tell us about Looney Tunes Cartoons 2020.
Yes, I've been watching some of the Looney Tunes that came out this year. They're on HBO Go Max, which is HBO's streaming platform. I'm not using that because it's not available in Ireland. I'm using Kiss Cartoon like a normal person. They're really, really good. I was not expected. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. Looney Tunes is what, from like the 40s? They're made by Chuck Jones. They are a product of their time, and it's a lot of slapstick gags. And I love watching Looney Tunes as a kid. There's some really fucked up episodes of Looney Tunes that they probably can't show anymore. And I was wondering, like, how do you adapt something that is very much a part of history and belongs in the past, but make it more contemporary? And they've done some really, really clever changes to it. Some of the like examples that come to my head are like the two human characters that were kind of villains are Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam. Mm-hmm. Neither of them use guns anymore.
What do they use? Water pistol?
Yosemite Sam is a tough guy who hangs out in a saloon.
Okay.
And his whole thing is that he just wants the approval of his male peers. Elmer Fudd is a bald man who lives in a suburban house, and animals come to his house and fuck with him.
What?
Yeah.
So he's a bully victim.
He's a bully victim, yeah. What they've done is, and so Bugs Bunny, Bugs is more or less the same. He's very comfortable with who he is and whatever outfit he wants to pick. He now wears he wears yellow gloves. They're like piss yellow gloves. They're so awful.
Oh,
why?
But his original design that was done by Tex Avery had those colored gloves. And his size and scale changes all the time. Like sometimes he's the size of a small rabbit, but sometimes he's human sized when he's like messing around with Elmer Fudd.
Maybe Elmer Fudd's just a very small man.
He could be in a very small house. Porky Pig is more or less the same. The biggest change is Daffy Duck, where they have changed Daffy to be like his original shorts, the first wave of Daffy, where he's fucking insane. And You know the way Daffy was usually played as like the straight guy foil to Bugs' antics?
That's what I liked about Daffy. He could be the straight guy, and then he could also be the wacky one if he was paired with Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, okay, so now Daffy is just laughing constantly to himself. Doesn't make eye contact with anyone and is like in his own reality to all the other characters. And he's really, really spiteful and nasty and likes to fuck with people as well. It's kind of fucking cool.
That sounds great.
Yeah, like he's a fucking wild card. I love it.
Brian, I was telling you about this, but I recently picked up a comic called Batman versus Elmer Fudd. It's a Batman comic, and he's hunted by Elmer Fudd. And it's like a dark, gritty, fucked up version of Elmer Fudd, and he's so scary. He's like the best hunter in the world, and he pushes Batman to his limit, and it's frightening. And it's like beautifully drawn and everything.
I'm gonna get you, Batman.
There's a part where Batman tries to sneak up on Elmer Fudd, and Elmer Fudd has a shotgun over his shoulder, and he just fucking pulls the trigger, and he nearly gets him. He nearly blows his fucking head off. It's good shit.
Oh dear. What they've also done as well is the comedy is still more or less slapstick cartoon violence, but they've kind of borrowed a bit from more contemporary comedy where there's a lot of jump cut edits as a comedy beat, where they'll be like in one location and then they'll be like, well, then we need to do, and as they're like finishing the sentence, they'll end up in the next location. That's kind of done as a punchline.
Doesn't get me.
Yeah, and it's such a clever way to kind of like use some modern humor while also blending the original stuff.
Yeah,
like it's really well considered, all things considered, I guess. I'm really impressed.
We're gonna edit that sentence and we'll kind of move the words around. And
I've chosen every single word I've said so far in this episode has been very well calculated, and not a goof on my behalf where I'm like trying real hard not to sound like a jerk. Ugh. Podcasts are hard, but Looney Tunes makes things a bit easier.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep watching it. I've watched a couple episodes and I'm gonna watch some more.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Niamh,
I think it's kind of sad that like kids don't get to watch Looney Tunes in the same way. Like, do you think a kid on Saturday morning is like, time to fire up a Kiss cartoon?
No, I really like that we as kids would just be like, here you go, and like because Irish television couldn't really afford a lot of new cartoons, they would just buy all the shit from like the 40s and 50s and be like, here you go, stupid kid.
So we all have this kind of shared like, this is what everyone watched.
Those cartoons, like they were so good.
They're
and
fucking
the animation
amazing.
in them was fucking crazy.
The music and everything, like it's so, like everything is so
and like
unified.
some of them conceptually got so out there. Like, you know, the one about like Daffy Duck and the artist is trying to erase him.
Oh yeah, the one, yeah, and he's looking at the and he jumps outside the film reel and everything.
Or the fucking sheer desperation of that one where the man has the frog who sings, and it's like, hello, my bunny.
Michigan J Frog.
Yeah. That fucking whole thing is so amazing, and
he's the best Looney Tunes character. That fucking frog is.
There's a lot of them.
I love that frog so much.
But yeah, did you guys see the Pokemon Looney Tune thing?
No.
So basically, the Pokemon company released like an animated short where it was like kind of Looney Tune style. I kind of hated it.
I felt it kind of went for a lot of animation like saving techniques that like with Looney Tunes they're real smart with like really like using the right drawings in the right place, and doing some nice flourishes here and there.
There was a few too many motion tweens in this for it like to work, but yeah, it was cool. Niamh, who's your favorite Looney Tune?
I like Daffy a lot.
Yeah, Daffy's right.
I feel like there's like a universal suffering to Daffy that I enjoy. Like there's a lot of mental anguish there.
I'm really not a fan of Tweety.
No.
I don't think Tweety's cute either.
No.
I like Tweety and Sylvester.
Yeah. So I like Sylvester. I'm rooting for him.
Do you guys like Pepe Le Pew?
The little rapist squirrel. I love him.
Whoa. So far while watching these shorts, I'm kind of like, is Pepe Le Pew going to be in this? And he hasn't shown up yet.
He's an incel.
Yeah, he's
I think you need to either turn him into an incel or a bi icon.
Yeah,
Yeah, honestly, like
those are your two.
It's all consensual.
Those are the two class paths for Pepe. Like, dump your experience points into whichever one.
yeah, just make them like the good kind of sex positive, like not the just make them safe. You know, a few years ago they had what's his name, Max Landis, writing a script for a Pepe Le Pew movie.
Oh Jesus!
Imagine if, like, you know, I know we're in a rough timeline, but like, Jesus Christ, fuck that. Like, fucking Max Landis.
Max Landis, Pepe Le Pew film, and Joss Whedon's Batgirl film come out the same year.
Sexism is solved.
Yep. I'm very sorry for taking any opportunity to shit on Joss Whedon. Not to you guys, but just to people who are listening who will be mad at that.
All those diehard Joss fans in 2020.
They exist.
Dying on that mountain.
I watched Gretel and Hansel.
Oh, this is great.
And you might be like, Gretel and Hansel? I think it's called Hansel and Gretel.
Again, Niamh. I was going to correct that in editing. I was going to just rearrange the word.
Well, this is feminist Gretel and Hansel. So
sign me out!
So fuck Hansel. It's all about Gretel. And this movie is not very good.
Yeah.
Bryan, you just said you liked it!
I like a lot of bad films.
Sometimes you do this. Sometimes you're like, that's a fucking great movie. And then someone's like, well, I didn't like it. And you're like, yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
But it's not awful. Here's the problem with Hansel and
it's got
Gretel and
good
Hansel.
bits and bad bits.
It looks gorgeous. This is basically a telling of the Brothers Grimm fairy tale of Hansel and Gretel. And what would you say is the moral of that story?
Don't talk to strangers.
Don't take fucking shit from no one.
That one. Yeah, it's pretty much don't talk to strangers.
Yeah, like I think a lot of Grimm's fairy tales are like cautionary tales for like children not to be misled by a deceiving adult.
With Gretel and Hansel, it's not really don't talk to strangers because it's kind of set in olden times where everything's shit and you kind of have to rely on strangers to a degree. And the moral has switched to nothing is ever free. You get nothing for nothing kind of thing. And it's kind of a little bit of a mean-spirited moral, like the idea that absolutely no kindness is without a cost. But you kind of see where it's going at the start. So Gretel is now an older sister. She's around 15 years old, and Hansel is around 8 or 10, and he's her younger little brother. And they are a starving family with no father, and they're just being raised by their mother. Their mother just cannot raise them anymore. She doesn't have the food for them. She doesn't have work. She just can't take them being in the house because she knows she's gonna just watch them die and she's gonna fail them, and she's starving. So she sticks an axe in the table and she's like, get the fuck out of here and find some work, kids. And it's this kind of real rough thing where it's kind of Gretel has to become the surrogate parent to Hansel because she is the older sister. And for Aged, it has this kind of interesting message where it's kind of like it's hard out there to be like an older sibling and to be a girl in this situation. And it kind of gets this across where Gretel thinks she's going to find some work. So she goes to a man's house and she's like, I'm good at cleaning. I can do all this stuff. I can be a maid. And he looks at her and he asks her if she's a virgin. Because the cost there, nothing comes for free. So he's saying, I'll give you a job if you give me this. And then the next shot is Gretel walking in the rain, furious with this. But that was the scene where I knew we were in trouble with this movie, and that even though the message was that maybe men will try and take this from women, it was done in the weirdest way possible because the man they used to put that across was a very gender non-conforming, queer, possibly gay-coded man. He was a fop with makeup, with his legs crossed with a female mannequin behind him. So all his coding was extremely queer, but the kind of thing that was put out there is what will be taken from Gretel is sex, always.
And you stand beside this fucking shit, bro.
The Witch is good.
I'm just teasing.
So it's this thing where it's kind of, you can see what it's trying to say, but then the way it's saying it, it's not getting there. You know what I mean?
Feels like a weird compromise between two people with different views.
Yeah, it seems like the costume designer had a way different idea.
Yeah, and like this is like a gorgeous movie. It's like it's mostly done in Ireland, and just the shot composition is lovely. There's really like weirdly interesting architecture, like mix of
the
like
witch's house is so cool.
Yeah, it's like a beautiful like micro house, you know.
It's like a big long triangle.
And the costuming is just super like interesting. Like the witch has like this huge black face covering with this wide brim hat. It's really aesthetically pleasing. And it starts to feel Lilius,
I think, from it.
And I'm not okay with this. And she is, again, fantastic. I think whatever she's in, she just kind of nails it.
She's the main girl from I'm Not Okay With This.
Yeah,
she's great.
She's fantastic. And the witch is really good with this. But anyway, Hansel and Gretel make their way to the witch's house, as they do. And they look in the window and they see this amazing buffet of food. And the witch invites them in, and it's again this concept of nothing comes without a price, and they're eating all this food, but they're also working for her, and they kind of see it as a fair trade until they kind of realize something is like off with it. And I don't want to give away obviously the entirety of the movie and what switches with it, but my problem with it was kind of going one route, or going this kind of, I think, where they thought they were telling the story about how hard it is to be like a young girl and a sibling and all of this. And instead it kind of became this inverse thing where if you compare it to something like The Witch, where the girl at the end kind of embraces witchness as this kind of power.
Yeah.
In this, it's kind of more this internal power is evil and bad and something that has to be controlled. And it kind of fell apart in its themes.
I get you. Yeah.
So if you want to watch something really visually pretty,
I am kind of, because like I am a big witch fan, as in they frighten me a great deal.
There's good shit in this
the witch stuff is real
aesthetically.
good.
Did you guys ever meet a witch?
There's one that was in a fun fair in Kinsale that she was a fortune teller, but she referred to herself as a witch.
Really?
She was in like a wagon. It was real cool.
Did I ever tell you about the time I was trick-or-treating and I met a real-life witch?
Oh dear.
Yeah, I was out trick-or-treating, and it was me and friends, and we knocked on this one door and opened up, and there's this just fucking, I'll never forget it, like bizarre yellow light filling the house. And there's this woman, and she looked so fucked up. And I can't describe to you how. If I was to describe every individual feature of this woman, she looked like a normal woman. But there was something so unsettling about her. And she was like playing it up. Like whatever way she had like done her makeup, it was like working. And she kept being like, "Would you boys like to come inside?" And we were like, "No, that's okay. We just trick or treat. Give us something good." And she was like, "Well, I have lots of treats. You just have to come inside to get them." And I was like rigid with fucking fear. Whatever the hell this woman was, she put the fear of God in me and kind of traumatized me a little bit. And we were there for like 5 minutes, and eventually we were just kind of wanted to get away, and we did. But I never forgot her, and it was so scary.
I love and respect how far she went for her Halloween look.
Halloween look? Or child devouring lifestyle?
Either or?
Yeah.
Was she like in the same like estate as you?
Yep.
Okay.
Like lived like 30 meters away from my house.
Oh,
and like she wasn't in a witch costume. She was in a white dress and had a weird white hat on.
That's her witch costume, John.
But like it wasn't like a witch's hat.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah, she's just keeping a pagan.
But no one has a casual white dress. It's probably a costume.
I guess my
no,
point
you're
is
right.
that,
She
like,
was a witch.
my point is that like it didn't look like a Halloween costume, and that's what was kind of scary. You know what I mean?
And what was she like every other day of the year?
I never met her.
Dear. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely witch.
Yeah. I just think we should have a talk about this whole magic situation personally. And I'm fucking glad that witch got hers, Niamh. That's all I'm saying.
I just think as long as you respect magic, it's fine.
Yeah. Sure. Where were we?
Gretel Hansel film review.
Oh, Gretel and Hansel, kind of shitty. Be wary of feminist films with all male writing team and a male director and a male producer.
Fair enough.
There you go.
stick to your lane, guys.
Yeah.
Guys, there's two films I want to talk about, and I'll keep it brief because they kind of both feed into the same thing. I watched The Lift, also referred to as To Lift.
Oh, this is the Dutch one.
Yeah.
Yep. This is a horror movie about an evil elevator. And I would really encourage people to Google the poster for this movie because it's really great. It's a little girl standing in front of a scary lift, and the tagline is, it's 4 lines, and it's take the stairs, for the love of God, take the stairs. And it's a really weird horror movie from the 70s, and the core of this film is imagine every awful way you could die in an elevator. And it does them all.
I can only imagine, 2.
Which is why it's impressive that there's 4.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a silly movie, and I think maybe the people making it thought they were hitting on something a lot deeper, because the whole theme of the film is technology is taking over and ruining our lives. I won't say exactly where they go with it because the reveal is fun, but it's not that it's a haunted lift. There aren't any ghosts in this movie.
It's just really, really bad electronics.
Kinda. There's a really fun shot that I don't want to spoil for people, but it's the entire film is laden with stuff our son's toy broke. Why do all toys need batteries?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's that's it. And the final sequence of the movie, I'm gonna spoil it a little bit. They beat the lift, and the final shot is our hero and heroine walking down the stairs. Because we need to return to a simpler time. And I'm not talking about video games on this podcast anymore. This film touched me. I don't believe in technology. I will not play with Satan's joysticks.
You're going to go out and play with the rocks.
Absolutely, just like I used to.
Out and play some football with the lads.
No, not doing that either. It was stupid. It was fun.
How do they... This is a spoiler, I guess, but how do you beat the elevator?
You press all the buttons and confuse it. Just run your finger. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are drastically underestimating this elevator.
Do you cut the cables from above?
Well, what if you're trying to cut the cables, but it's trying to crush you to death at the same time?
Okay.
Ooh.
There's a lot of crushing in this movie.
Do you just abandon the building?
No, because it's a capitalist building, and there's money to be made.
That is true. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Second movie I watched was called The Baby.
John was telling me about this. It's a real special time.
Yeah.
How evil is this baby? Is this a horror movie?
This is a horror movie.
Okay.
It's a very upsetting film.
Oh.
It's a very upsetting movie.
Really?
It's also from the 70s.
Should I be laughing?
Yes. You
Okay,
should.
good.
It's probably good to laugh. It helps ease the trouble.
I would really encourage... I love horror movie posters from the 70s. I think they're fucking insane and beautiful. The horror poster for this... Actually, Niamh, could you just look up the 70s horror movie poster? I just want to get the live reaction here. Or the 70s Baby.
The Baby.
Yeah.
It came out in 1973,
1973 poster. Give it to me, Google. Huh? It's just legs akimbo. Are they legs? What goes on in this nursery isn't for kids. 3, 4, close the door. Okay, there's a sexy woman holding a teddy and then just legs hanging out of a cot.
How large are the legs?
Very, very large, and a very small hand with a small axe. Very good.
Okay, so this movie is about a fully grown man with the mind of a baby.
Okay.
Yep. In the original cut of this movie, the man baby had baby noises made by the actor who played him, who was also the producer of the movie. I don't know why that fact stands out so much in my mind, but it does.
Because you know it's his fetish.
That's the thing about this movie.
It's a very personal movie.
It definitely feels like someone's fetish. And that's... What's kind of disturbing about this movie is less so the content of the film and more the implications of the people who made it. The grown man baby is overdubbed with baby noises, and it's disturbing in a way that I find difficult to quantify. The whole film looks awful, as in it has this really like molten brown look to it.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was intentional or not. If it's intentional, it's incredibly unsettling and fair play. If it's not, Jesus Christ. I don't want to give away what happens in this movie too much, but there's a couple, after a little while, basically it starts to be about a social worker who comes into contact with this family who have this... The family consists of 3 women, the mother and her 2 daughters, all of which do not seem good. They seem like bad people. And after a while, you start to wonder, is this genuinely a person with some kind of affliction, physical or otherwise? Or is this a grown man who has been traumatized into acting like a baby? And it's so fucking weird. And there's like a kind of final reveal in the movie, and it's so fucking strange, Brian. I told you the reveal.
Yeah.
Come on, who's going to watch a 1973 The Baby movie?
I'll drop a spoiler warning just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Sure.
Okay, so a very strange part of this movie, which makes me feel like this is definitely some fetishistic shit, is that women are constantly falling in love with this baby. It turns out all women actually want, and like, Niamh, I'm sorry, I believe in feminism, but all that women actually want is a giant baby to take care of.
This is second wave feminism.
That's called her husband. Fuck you, Hansel.
In this film, that's literally what these women want.
No.
Multiple women try and seduce. Multiple women succeed in seducing this man baby. Okay? And so this caretaker, this like social worker, develops an infatuation with this baby, okay? And halfway through the film, you're like, okay, this is kind of fucking weird. Why is she like this? And then it's revealed her husband was killed in a traffic accident, which has left a gaping hole in her life, one she's trying to fill by getting custody of the giant man baby. All right?
Yeah, okay.
So then anyway, things get real murdery real fast. The family of the baby try and kill the woman, and she responds by just murdering the fuck out of all them. She literally sets up a murder trap and stabs them all to death.
Fuck.
And then she takes custody of the baby. Then, now get ready for this shit. In the final scene of the movie, she's like looking at the baby, and then she's like, okay, it's time, come on. And she takes him by the hand, and she takes this grown man by the hand, and he wears all these weird little baby clothes. Like he wears like
onesies with like hanging toes.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And like little baby shorts.
Booties.
and like puffy shirts and things. It's so like a 70s like well-to-do high society baby.
Is the baby wearing like a bib and a bonnet?
Yes, and like a string tie.
No.
It's horrifying. And so then anyway, she takes the baby by the hand, and the grown man crawling on the ground holds her hand and walks alongside her, and she takes him into a giant nursery. And then she was like, go on, go meet your new friend. And from the corner of the nursery out crawls a second man baby, her husband, who was in the traffic accident.
Oh my god, this is so fucked.
She's been collecting them.
Oh my god.
The baby. It's so weird because I literally don't know how to classify this movie. Part of me thinks this is such a piece of shit and such an awful movie because it is kind of boring in places, you know?
Yeah.
But another part of me is like, I don't remember the last time I saw a fucking movie that got to me like this. Like, when I think about the last film that really like left me cold, it's the likes of like Midsommar and Hereditary. Just stuff that is so expertly crawls into your brain and just like manipulates you so perfectly. This isn't that. This is like something fucking stumbled up my ass and managed to hit my fear center, you know? But it did freak me out, and I'm still thinking about it, and I'm still disturbed. And so like as a piece of horror, it is successful. You know, like it did fuck me up, and that's what I want horror to do. Everyone should watch this movie.
The Baby, the best horror.
Bring your mom to it. She's gonna love it.
Yeah. One of these movies has been remade.
Is it The Lift?
Yeah, it was remade with Naomi Watts in it.
What?
Yeah, and
I really like Naomi Watts because she's in some weird fucking horror movies.
Brian, you ask Watts, I have to ask why.
I know, and it's the same director. He made an English version of his movie
because he just
thought it was that good.
People needed to know.
But she was also in the English remake of The Ring. So
I know.
This is like a thing she does.
She's just like, yeah, call me up.
Okay, so the reason I have watched both these movies and several others, including Bloody Birthday, which we watched, Brian.
We did. Happy birthday, Brian.
Happy birthday, Brian. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just deal with that later.
So it's... I subscribed to Shudder.
Yay.
The horror movie service. And I was really curious to see what this was like, because you click into it and it's exactly like Netflix. Exactly. But it really isn't a Netflix thing. What Shudder isn't is like a bottomless well of movies. I'd say there's about, Brian, like, we went through the list, about 200 to 300 maybe?
About 150 by my estimation.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So the best way I could describe Shudder as a service, and it's like $5 a month, it's not that expensive. I've been thinking about how to phrase this, and I'm so proud of this, okay? I'm going to give everyone a moment to get ready for how eloquent this is a way to describe Shudder.
It's been longer than a moment.
Okay, go for it.
I was going to let the tension build up just
Sorry, okay.
Shh. So you know when you're little and you go to the video shop, the VHS shop, and there's a horror section, and you look at like the back of all these weird horror movies? That's what Shudder's like.
Hell yeah.
I think I built it up too much.
Yeah, you kind of did.
Yep.
But yeah, that's cool. I love that feeling.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not like, again, it's not like a bottomless resource of horror movies. There's like 150 horror movies on there, but this is a service for finding shit you've never heard of and watching it.
And it's got films from all around the world.
All around the world.
It's got Italian horror, it's got Japanese horror, it's got Korean horror.
Yeah,
and
and
a lot of indie stuff debuts there. I know there's a new anthology that's debuting.
There's a bunch of like Shudder original TV shows and stuff.
Yeah.
I really subscribe to this service out of sheer boredom and curiosity. I think I'm gonna stick with it though. I like this thing, and like, you know, like sometimes I just want to watch fucking horror. Like I just want horror, and being able to just turn Shudder on. And like when Brian, we went through like a bunch of movies, and I'd say we had 10 options that we would have been happy to watch that night.
We added a lot to the wish list.
Yeah, and then we just ended up going with one, and I think it's actually a great service for that. Again, it's not like a lot of other streaming services. This isn't like an infinite thing that you could. It's not like a Crunchyroll, which just has like more anime than you could ever watch. But they are like cycling in and out horror movies at a pretty decent clip.
It's very well curated.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I like the fact that it's a smaller streaming service. I think it's cool, and I have watched so much weird shit from the 70s and 80s on it, and it's really my jam, and I'm having a great time with it. So if you're curious, I'd really recommend just try it out for a month. Like, you'll know if it's for you or not, but I think it's fucking cool.
And just to be clear, The Baby is on Shudder.
Niamh, The Baby is on Shudder.
That baby's there for you to hold.
Okay.
God, there's some bits in that movie I don't even feel fucking comfortable talking about them. When you watch it, you'll know.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommended. 8 out of 10. Makes The Shining look like The Shittening.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, he doesn't like the film anymore.
No, bad movie. Bryan.
Yes.
You watched Wishmaster.
Yay.
Yes. I also watched a horror movie. Have you guys seen Wishmaster?
Yeah.
I watched it on your recommendation.
Yeah, I'd never seen Wishmaster because, like, who has time in their life to put aside to watch Wishmaster? As a kid, I wasn't able to watch Wishmaster. It's on Netflix for some reason. I was like, sure, why not?
This movie fucking rules.
Yeah, it's insane. How is this movie so fucking good?
I never had it recommended to me.
Yeah.
Ever.
Really?
Never.
This is such a popular cult classic. There's
Well, see, like,
three of them, isn't there?
Yeah.
But see, like, I've watched stuff like you know how there's kind of like, because it came out around the same time as Scream and a few others, but like I've watched Candyman and other films from the mid '90s, but I just never watched Wishmaster. Wishmaster came out in 1997, and I think it just came out at a time where like I wouldn't have been allowed to rent it, and then by the time I would have, I'd forgotten about it.
I always
And
had it in my head it was from like way earlier. And
Yeah, same.
But it's like the most 1997 movie ever.
It's amazing to think this movie came out 2 years before The Matrix.
That's what I thought as well. I was like, how is this movie so close to The Matrix? Because they feel like they're from different time periods.
Because it has that mixture of like amazing set design and horror practical effects.
Practical effects.
And then the worst CGI I've ever seen that is aged so badly and it's beautiful.
Like, yes, but it's also fucking... I agree.
It is so charming. I am so glad it looks the way it does. I wouldn't change a single thing about it.
No.
It is just... It belongs in that... It's a time capsule.
Bryan, what is this movie about?
It is a movie about a genie. Well, a djinn.
A djinn, yeah.
A djinn. And it starts off in ancient... Well, no, not ancient Persia. It starts off in Persia 1,000 years ago. And there's chaos. And someone's made some wishes, and the way the wishes work with the djinn, with the Wishmaster himself, is that it's always the worst possible version of your wish.
Usually involving you dying.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of like the monkey paw scenario where you want your wish, it happens, and you get your comeuppance. And he is all power, infinite magic, but he can only perform the magic if it's the person making the wish.
Yeah, in order for him to be able to do anything, you have to wish on something.
And so right away, it's got the rules of the horror movie setup.
Yeah.
And I guess it follows a woman who rubs the jewel that awakens the djinn. And they make a real big point about, I gotta rub this. And she does, and the Wishmaster shows up, and he looks like a fucked up version of Crazy Diamond.
Yep.
Like, he looks like Crazy Diamond with, like, really awful skin.
He's really like that 90s Buffy the Vampire Slayer prosthetics face kind of thing.
Yes.
Where he's kind of sexy.
Yeah, no, and his voice
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he has a human form, and they put in, like, very, like, contrasted blue contacts, so, like, he really penetrates your soul. And his voice is like, I am the Wishmaster.
He can penetrate more than that.
And I also think this movie is a great celebration of other horror movies because it's produced by Wes Craven. It's directed by a guy called Robert Kurtzman, who still is part of movie making. Doesn't direct movies anymore, but before directing did horror movie props and special effects, and since moving back from directing still does horror movie props and special effects. And so it's just this kind of moment in his career and his team and others he collaborated with that they were just like, we can make a horror movie on the cheap and we can experiment with, you know, our years and years of horror movie magic craft with the physical practical stuff with this budding new computer technology in which we could turn someone into a glass window and smash through them.
I was so close to just taking a photo of that guy's face and sending it to Bryan.
I can't, because he convinces a guy to say, I wish I was a door. And then he walks through him like the door he is.
I think what he does, he's like,
what are you going to do, walk through me? I wish I'd like, yeah, like, I'd like to
he's
see
like,
you do that.
He's like, I'm going to go right through you. And the guy goes, I'd like to see that.
And he's like,
he turns him into a glass door.
As you wish. Like he says.
And it's like they do a proper like mural glass painting And like they don't 3D him into a door, they literally turn him into like a comic book looking door, and then the guy walks through it.
But they also just make a point with the horror movies and the kind of legends of horror that Robert Englund, who plays Freddy Krueger, is in it. He's in a lot of scenes, actually. He plays like the museum collector guy that wants the original statue from Persia.
Yeah.
And the statue falls on Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi's brother, who directed the Evil Dead movies. And then in one scene, Tony Todd plays a doorman bouncer, and he's like, "You're not on the list," to the Wishmaster. And then it implies, that the Wishmaster is more powerful than the Candyman. And so, like,
wait, sorry, how did they do that? I missed that.
he drowns him in like a big giant like water capsule. It's not done very clearly, but like it's cool that they had Tony Todd for a day and they used him well.
Oh, was Tony Todd the doorman?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know how I am with actors. That's funny because I was like, this doorman is so fucking charismatic.
Yeah, and they really they really make sure that it's Tony Todd because because he's also in the movies with the teenagers where they know they're going to die. What's
Final Destination?
Final Destination.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he plays the mortician in that kind of gives like a big exposition dump about Death's design. I love Tony Todd.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I don't know if he's going to be in the new Candyman remake.
I hope he has a cameo. That would be fun.
Yeah, because like he's so.
Who's making that?
Jordan Peele's producing it with Monkey Paw Productions, but
who's the director? I know
it's not
woman.
him directing, but
let's get her name.
They've also got Candyman 2: Farewell to the Flesh on Netflix, so
Niamh DaCosta. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Candyman's so good. Say his name 5 times in the mirror.
It's 3.
It's 5.
Is it? So it's Bloody Mary 3 and Candyman 5.
Yep.
Okay. They're friends.
Got it. Oh yeah, I love really like specific horror movie rules.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done the Bloody Mary thing.
Yeah, I
just don't need that.
No.
Oh, do you want to do it after this?
Nope.
Oh, let's do it.
Niamh, I already have certain complications in life.
I just think we should just summon someone.
Yeah.
No, we did that once.
Come on. Let's teenage girl it up.
Yeah.
I love how teenage girls just love trying to summon demons.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yeah.
I was at a fucking party where they did that once and it was working on everybody and I was just about to do it and then my taxi came and I had to go.
Fucking coward.
Yeah. It's because he didn't believe.
Anyway,
I really wanted to believe, but I think I'm also heavy as shit.
I really like Wishmaster. It sets up a bunch of rules and it really like explores them, which I love about horror movies. I'm not a fan of when a horror movie has like a villain and a setup and they don't go for it, but they really fucking go for it with this one.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And like the guy who plays the Wishmaster,
yeah, incredible.
Like just the seething like bravado he brings to that role.
Yeah, and just like even one of the first scenes in the movie where like a guy falls out of his skin, but then his skeleton jumps out of his skin and starts running around screaming. Perfect.
And like I felt like there were so like, I'm not sure like The Wishmaster is a horror movie with a whole lot to say or anything like that, but like the sheer, not only the creativity of the deaths, but the amount of them, like the amount of like practical effects per like it feels like every like 8 minutes something fucking insane happens.
Yeah, because usually you watch a horror movie and the first hour is nothing.
Yeah. But like in this, it's like people are getting turned into doors, trapped in water cages, stone samurais come to life, there's a devil dog, there's just all this fucking crazy, crazy stuff. At one point, there's basically a chest burster.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Great film. Watch it with your parents. They'd love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's move into our strategy talk. Guys, I played a ton of Fire Emblem, 3 Houses.
You've tried to play this game like 3 times before this?
Yeah, this is technically like my 3rd attempt playing this game.
Third time's a charm.
But I've done it and I reached the time skip.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the best part.
Yep. I definitely feel like after playing it now, I have a much better idea of why people are so passionate about this game. And I think it really comes down to just, not like just the characters, but how well handled the exchanges between them are. Because I think like the social links are so good and so interesting. And somehow like it can take even like 2 characters that I wouldn't be into that, like into like say Dorothea and Caspar, And there, I know, for fuck, Jesus Christ, I don't like Dorothea. But people fucking get over it. I don't like her. I think she's annoying.
She's amazing.
That's crazy. Like, I actually did a double take and nearly choked on my vino.
I don't know how, because this is like the third time I'm telling you I don't like Dorothea.
She's fucking unreal.
Yeah, she's great.
She can sing for me.
Yeah.
I'll sing for her. We'll sing together.
Look, her backstory, her, like, character writing, solid as shit. She is a well-rounded, like, sensical character who's believable, and I can fully appreciate her as a character. She's just fucking annoying.
I'd love to be your friend.
I bet you would, Niamh.
Yeah, you would.
Her and Caspar are fun as friends. They're good. That's what I really was trying not to like shit on this game immediately.
It's her game of the year. You can't shit on it. You're legally not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
I can't say anything critical about Overwatch ever.
Yeah,
You can.
Just can't.
It lost. It's
Overwatch.
So yeah, like there's a lot of stuff like that I liked. I love Hubert. He's just amazing. I kind of fell into a rhythm with the combat where like it was never a challenge, but there is something kind of cathartic about just like moving your strongest unit up to the front and just having all the enemies bounce off them. That's really fun. I'm disappointed they took some of the like team mechanics out of.
I really wish they
Away
could
from
share
Awakening.
a square.
Yeah, and like I miss like, do you remember in Awakening when two characters had real high social links, one could block the attacks for the others? I really miss stuff like that. I can't understand why.
Such a simple but clever mechanic.
Yeah, and it's weird because in some ways I feel like the combat in Three Houses is more complicated than Awakening, but then it's weird because in some ways I think the simplicity of Awakening also kind of gives it depth, like the weapon triangle system. But yeah, you know, like I kind of got to a point with this where I got it and I hit the time skip and we're going to take down Edelgard, and it all kind of it did kind of
Wait,
click.
you're taking down Edelgard?
Yeah, why? What?
Lady Rhea or Edelgard?
Edelgard, the bad guy.
Why are you doing that?
What do you mean?
Are you playing Blue Lions?
No.
He went
Black
the
Eagles.
church route.
You God-fearing fool.
I feel like the quality that I bring to this podcast is that I understand when an iron fist is needed to rule. And you think I'm going to entrust the future of that fucking country to some fucking teenagers?
Would you not play the last Catholic
fucking
route?
insane?
Yeah, you went like...
You got to play the last Catholic route.
Yeah. You get to destroy the church, John. It's what we've always wanted.
Deconstruct that shit. Rebuild it with a fucking youthful
I don't know.
flair.
The church in that universe seems fine.
It's an
Nothing
Irish,
wrong there.
It's an Irish proxy church. Like it's Garrick Mock. Conasatatu.
Did
Go on. Ask your question.
why? Just why are you there? I would
Because I believe that it takes a firm hand to lead Niamh.
I'd walk backwards into fire for Edelgard.
Okay, so I might have not realized that you have to talk to Edelgard like all the fucking time. And I might have missed the prompts to join her rebellion.
That's why you got to have multiple save files. You
Yeah,
always have to do
multiple-
that with a JRPG.
Yeah,
I feel like...
I'd like 10.
Yeah, same. I
But, like,
I
you
actually
can
split it
miss-
because I
but-
wanted to do both.
But you can miss Edelgard's prompts by just not talking to her.
She wants
You
to talk
can
to you in
miss
the bell
the
tower.
one, yeah, not talking to her in the bell tower, but you can, like, it also, like, you know, gives you a question of, like, this is it. Like, which
It
one do
never
you
did
want to
that
pick?
for me. It genuinely
Really?
never did that for me, because I love Edelgard, like, and I wouldn't like she's like one of the coolest characters in that game. I totally like, yeah, I want to fuck up the church. Of course, I want to fuck up the fucking church, but it just never did. And now I'm locked into this shitty church route, and that's fucking bullshit. And we never should have given this piece of shit game of the year.
I think it's you and not the game.
Yeah, I think that question comes up twice.
You know what?
It doesn't. You can miss
I
it.
meant 2 save points, like, for this question.
But were you talking to Edelgard first?
the first one, it's when you're talking to Edelgard, and then there's a second
well,
one
then
when
the
you're
second
underground.
one doesn't trigger unless you talk to her.
That's nuts.
You might say it's terrible game design from an awful 6 out of 10 game.
You know how we say bad game all the time?
Bad
Yeah.
game.
Bad gamer.
Oh! Fuck.
Yeah. So, fuck Fire Emblem. Fuck this piece of shit game. Should never won any awards. Everyone's insane.
John, you're just a casual. You're a filthy casual and you love the church.
Niamh, I may love the church.
You're just a little Catholic good boy and a filthy casual.
I can't help it. I try and change, but they beat that shit into me, Niamh.
More like Father Eye Patch Wolf.
Oh, I get why people like that game. I'm done. I'm done with Fire Emblem Three Houses. I don't think it's like amazing. I think it's pretty cool. I get other people love it. I think that's fantastic. I'm very happy for everyone who's super pumped about Dimitri. This game is just...
they fucking love that game.
Yeah, they love
This game
Dimitri.
is never going to resonate with me in the way it resonates with a lot of people. But yeah, fine game. 6 out of 10.
Oh man, I love Fire
Game of the
Emblem
year.
so much.
What's going to be our game of the year this year? We have shit opinions. Like, that's just it.
Niamh, no one's arguing that we have shit opinions, okay?
It's probably going to be Ori 3 Remake.
Hell yeah.
It's like, because it's not even like
I feel like
that good a game, but it's probably the best.
Yeah, it's the best one I played this year.
I feel like if we sat down and ranked all the games that came out during the time we did this podcast and then measured it against the games that won Game of the Year, the Game of the Year games, we probably wouldn't make the top 10 for the most part.
No, it's an underwhelming year. I'm playing more older games than new games this year. I'm going to play a new game soon, just not now or anytime soon.
I'm preparing for NiamhCon 2020. Play my new game.
What's your new game?
NiamhCon 2020. Y'all in?
I'd rather not.
It's when you take a week off work and play Last of Us 2 and...
Will I have the option to side with the church in NiamhCon 2020?
No.
Okay.
No option there.
Well, sign me out, Niamh.
I can't wait to play The Last of Us 2 in 2021.
Oh boy, our fucking opinions just flying about Last of Us 2 already, and I'm already so fucking done. And I mean everyone. The people who are saying it's the greatest game ever, shut the fuck up. The people who are saying it's a garbage game for miserable people, shut the fuck up. I don't fucking care.
Bryan, please play this game.
I'm not playing.
Please.
I'm not in a good mental space right now to play
Either
this.
am I, but I need someone to play it. It's part of NiamhCon 2020.
It's misery porn.
I know.
When's it out, Niamh?
19th.
Yeah, it's out in a week.
Next Friday.
I don't want to play this stupid fucking game.
I don't want to buy a brand new. I don't want to give it money.
Do you know why I don't want to play Last of Us 2? Because whenever I fucking go out and someone brings up The Last of Us 2 and they're like, that's my favorite game ever, I don't want to have to be like, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I just want to be like, oh really? Tell me about why you like it, and then just kind of nod and then be like, maybe I'll give it a try.
The Last of Us 1 loves the smell of its own farts
I know.
so much.
All three of us don't like it.
And The Last of Us 2 is going to love the smell of its own like rancid shit. It's not going to be an improvement.
I'm hoping against hope. This is like everyone just assholes on the internet are just like, oh, there's gay characters shoved into every nook and cranny of every game, but there isn't, and this is the first one with an LGBT protagonist, AAA game, so much so that it's been banned in a bunch of regions, and they left money on the table, and I think I'm going to hate it, and I need you guys to help me through it.
No, you can hate it. I'm sure you have enough energy to drag it.
Niamh, I'll think about it, but I've got to be honest with you, I'm playing some pretty great anime titty games right now.
I want an anime titty game, but with lesbians.
Okay, for a moment there I was like, every time I try and show you an anime, and then he said it with lesbians, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And like, you mean like real lesbians.
Yeah, really, really do that representation well. Like, make it nuanced.
Can I introduce you to a game called Senran Kagura?
Galgo's pretty... no, it's not.
No. Niamh, in fairness, I did hear that there's a scene in Last of Us where two lesbians smoke a spliff and then have sex.
That's just like my life.
Yeah.
I've also heard there's a lot of other scenes.
Where you kill a dog, it's just like, is this what you want?
Finally.
It's just like, Niamh, here's your lesbian protagonist.
I am about two things: the church and murdering dogs.
It feels such like this is a Wishmaster wish. This is my Wishmaster wish. I asked for a lesbian protagonist, and there's like, you gotta fucking murder a bunch of dogs to get to
and
it.
Steal
buddy.
someone's PS Vita.
Oh. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that soon enough.
Next time we record.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh my god. Do you really want to play this game?
I fucking don't know. No, yeah. both.
I'll see. I might get a physical copy so I can return it.
Same here. I got a physical copy.
Like, just play it and ditch it.
It's just like I didn't
money.
like The Last of Us 1, and like the criticisms I've heard about Last of Us 2 make me think like, yeah, I'm not gonna enjoy that.
Yep.
It seems like only assholes are gonna love it.
Bryan, for fuck's sake.
It's so nihilistic. I agree. It's the people who really imagine that they're like, yeah, you know what? If everything did go to shit, I'd totally be able to murder someone. No, you wouldn't.
Niamh, okay, I agree with you. I've literally had that exact fucking conversation with you where that was what you said.
I'm lying.
Do you remember about 6 years ago how much you used to talk about like what you would do in a post-apocalypse?
That was 6 years ago. We grow, we evolve. Now in a post-apocalypse situation, I have learned that I get really depressed and I get into cryptocurrencies and I buy food gummies online.
Jesus, Bryan, just mute her for...
No, like, honestly, like, we are teetering on it.
Listen, if someone likes The Last of Us 2, they're not an asshole, they just like The Last of Us 2. That's the only point I'm making.
Oh yeah, no, it's not fair. Like, honestly, do not take any of our word as gospel. Like, we are just talking.
We're
about
all real fucking broken right now.
Yeah.
We are talking about our like absolute assholes.
Yeah, think of the worst conversation that you've ever had with your friends, and now imagine like 10,000 people listening to it. That is this podcast.
Do we have 10,000 people listening to us?
I don't like to look at the numbers anymore, but unfortunately,
they've gotten so big.
Yeah. Is that Shenmue 2 stretch goal, you guys? Please, like I'm trying to do the whole reverse psychology. Do not.
Bryan's like sweating and rubbing his face.
Thank you so much. We will get.
We're nearly there, boyos.
I get so lightheaded when I look at some of our statistics. I've stopped. Help.
Look, Bryan, we have a platform and we use it for good. We recommended the baby to people. People may have gone through their entire life not knowing that there was a giant adult baby movie.
And people might have gone their whole lives without hearing about it. Shenmue 2, everybody.
Yeah, guys.
I'm not saying that the bad guy in Shenmue 2 is a giant baby. I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but he might be. I'm not saying anything, but let's just see how we get on. What the fuck were we talking about?
Video games. That was specifically was Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Oh yeah, shit game. Next question. Bryan, tell us about Wario Land.
All right, I'll talk about the Wario Land trilogy. This is on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. I can't play contemporary games right now. I'm not in the right headspace for it. I have to regress to games from my childhood. I need that escapism. Wario Land 1, 2, and 3 are near and dear to my heart, particularly the original. Okay, do you guys have a game where a family member... Okay, I'll tell my story first, and then tell me if you have a game like this.
Okay.
The original Wario Land game, I was one time shopping with my granny in town. Oh my god, that was a loud noise.
That was a gunshot.
Granny's gone.
Yeah, she passed away in 2000.
Niamh!
She passed away in 2008, and I loved her dearly, Niamh. Thank you. Thanks, Niamh. Dealing with a lot of difficult stuff at the moment. Thanks, Niamh.
Okay, WarioWare, you love it. Great.
Wario Land.
Precious.
You really, really listen, don't you? No, go on, Lamb. I'm gonna simmer in this for a bit.
Stop, Bryan. I'm gonna pee.
Good, you should fucking pee.
I can tell more bits about the baby.
When I was out shopping one time with my granny in the mid-90s, I saw this game called Wario Land, and I didn't know what it was. And I was like, that looks really cool. And then a month later was my birthday, and she gave me Wario Land for my birthday.
Oh.
And I still have the original cartridge to this day. Fortunately, that cartridge is in my desk at work, and I can't access my desk at work because we have to work from home because of COVID-19. So I downloaded it on the 3DS for like a $5. And I'm playing a lot of Game Boy games on my 3DS at the moment. That is my most used console in 2020. Who knew? Wow. So I played through Wario Land, and oh my god, this game has aged so well.
It's fucking awesome, that game.
Yeah, absolutely, like, I loved this game as a kid, and to this day, it's still one of my favorite games ever made, ever, forever and ever. I love it to bits. Oh my god. And I think this is such a smartly made Game Boy game where, like, they've used the limitations of the hardware to its advantage. Because you're playing a platformer on such a small screen with very little real estate around the border of the screen, they've used it where the game isn't based on high-speed precision platforming, but rather you're playing as a heavy character like Wario, and the game is based on a slow-paced exploration platforming where you're treasure hunting and treasure collecting. And Wario's personality is that he loves to hunt for treasure, which to this day is actually kind of part of my personality. I actually like treasure hunting myself.
Brian's a big time. He loves a bargain.
I love finding a deal in a car boot sale or in a secondhand shop, or going abroad and finding something that you didn't know existed, and you're going to bring it home and you treasure it and you put it up on your shelf. I love that.
Because you like to buy shit, but you like to have stories attached to it.
Absolutely. And Wario totally gets it. Wario is such a cool video game protagonist. I think it's such a cool thing as well that, like, you know how Mario's the main Nintendo platform mascot, but like a lot of the best Nintendo platformers are made out of Mario's villains, like Wario and Donkey Kong. And it's because they have so much more personality than Mario, because Mario is a blank canvas, but Wario he's a jerk. He's a greedy treasure hunter, and he's got a nasty smile, and he's rough around the edges, and the music in the game is kind of garbled and dirty and kind of crunchy and munchy, and it just fits that aesthetic.
100%, yeah.
And the game really encourages you to 100% the game, and that's what I did. I collected every single treasure. I collected 999,999 coins, and when you do that, you complete the game with 100% perfect score, and you get your own planet. Because that's what Wario wants. Wario doesn't have a house. If you don't get any treasure, he gets a birdhouse. If you get a bit of treasure, he gets a normal house. If you get all the way up top, you get a castle. But if you really go for it, you get your own planet with Wario's face on it. And that's kind of beautiful.
That's all I've ever wanted.
Yeah. This is absolutely in my top 10 games forever.
Really?
It's just... the nostalgia is there, but also it's just like, even when you go back to it, because you know the way you have nostalgia for like a piece of media, you go back and you watch it and you're kind of like, ooh, this is a bit... This is problematic.
I'm going through Earthbound at the moment, and it's not like problematic.
Earthbound 1, 2 or 3?
Mother 2.
Mother 2, okay.
And technically, Brian, there's only 2 Earthbounds while there is 3 Mothers, because the first Mother was for the NES, and then the second one they localized and called it Earthbound America.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah. And it's really fucking cool, but like, I think what RPGs have become since then, especially Mother 3, parts of it feel a little hollow, you know, and that's kind of a little bit disappointing, even though it's still super charming and super fun. Sorry, go on.
Then I played Wario Land 2.
Okay.
Which is a game I actually never grew up with. I had Wario Land 1 and 3 as a kid, but I never had Wario Land 2. I bought it as an adult when I first started working in animation, and you had a steady paycheck. And you were like, I'm going to buy all the games I didn't get to have as a kid.
I remember when we started making money, Brian.
The amount of Game Boy games I ordered.
At one point I had a conversation with you where I was like, you're buying a lot of Game Boy games there, buddy.
Yeah. I was that kid inside me, he needed that release.
Sure.
I have a large amount of Game Boy physical cartridges.
It's very impressive.
I like the sound they make as you like roll a dex through them. I like that clickety clack of the plastic. Very specific, satisfactory noise. Wario Land 3 is a game that I don't really have a nostalgic thing for, but it's Wario. It's from the same era as it came out in the mid-90s. And this is another kind of treasure hunting platformer, but this does a really interesting thing where this game has multiple endings and multiple pathways. And like, you know how you play like a David Cage game and you'll beat a chapter and then it'll have all the different routes?
Yeah.
Or even like Nier Automata where you have all the different endings. This has kind of got like DNA and blueprints for those kind of games that we see now. Where like...
Man, did Nier Automata do anything original?
Well... It has that really cool idea. It's got that really cool idea where you like sacrifice your game save. No, wait, that's in the original Nier. No, sorry, Niamh.
Yeah. Oh, the shit at the end where you shoot the credits?
No, that's in Smash.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, Niamh. I'm being really just
It's okay. It's just my favorite game. It's okay.
made me cry.
I like, but I do like that kind of game, like Nier Automata, Senran Kagura, that kind of stuff.
Oh, fuck you. Okay, so WarioWare 3, and then they stopped making them. What's going on?
There's so many Wario Land games, and they vary in like different quality, but the ones in the 90s were actually really solid. Wario Land 3 has this thing where it's Wario Land in his castle, because this follows the ending of the previous game where Wario has a castle. And Captain Syrup, who's the villain of these games, she's the pirate who wears a bandana and she has a pet genie. Mm-hmm. And her crew kick Wario out of his castle. Sorry, they take over his castle and then they fuck up his castle and they steal all his treasure.
She's trying to redistribute the wealth because she's a pirate.
No, she just wants the wealth to herself. It's about greedy people.
I just want to know what the church has to say about all this.
They're going to hoard that shit too. It's just about greedy people fucking each other over. So there's all these different like multiple pathways, and so it's a platformer, and it's kind of divided into like 5 level worlds, but they're all kind of based around a theme. So there's kind of like you start off in a forest level, then there's like a toy factory, there's like different kind of castles. There's one where you go to Atlantis, there's one where you're on a pirate ship and you have the option to board the pirate ship and like get to the top and fight Captain Syrup, or you could sink the pirate ship and explore underwater in a completely different narrative.
That's cool.
Do you usually sink it, or do you go to the top?
So with this, I wanted to collect all the treasures, so I explored every possible narrative in the game. And when you beat the game once, it actually does the thing where it has a timeline and it has all the branching timelines. So it kind of like hints at which levels do what, but you need to figure it out yourself by doing a cause and effect. And one of the most interesting ones is in the very first level of the game, the pirates have stolen all of Wario's treasure and they've set off his alarm clock. And the first level is you as Wario have to explore your castle and turn off your alarm. But I found this out through a guide because I never would have clicked this myself. But if you play the game and don't touch the controller for a minute, Wario stays asleep and pirates kick Wario out of his castle, and you have a different storyline in which Wario has to reclaim his castle.
That's so cool.
That is cool.
And this is about 25 years ago.
I don't know how you convince like a team of developers that's a good idea. And
Yeah.
like, it's so fucking cool. I'm glad they did it.
Yeah.
But being like, okay, and how do people find this? And how many people are going to discover this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like 5% of our player base.
Yeah, and but like I just think because it's Wario, you really do feel motivated to 100% the game.
Yeah.
Then Wario Land 3 is kind of like it's a Game Boy Color game, and it's at the very end of the Game Boy Color's life cycle, and you can tell that they made it as a kind of like one last hurrah for that specific era of Wario. So they reuse a lot of the assets and sprites from the Wario Land game. But what they've done is they've in between the animations, so it's just this like butter smooth, really well made game on a like dinky handheld system that like it looks way better than it should, and it's also aged super well because of that. You're just like, this is really sophisticated for what it is. And with that, you're Wario trapped in a music box, and you have a limited amount of levels, but the levels have a day and night cycle in which different things happen during the day to happen during the night. And you have 4 different treasure chests in each level, but they strip Wario of his powers at the very beginning of the game, and it's kind of done like a Metroidvania where you unlock more abilities and you can go back and do different levels with more powers. But then you also find treasure, but some of the treasure is like a fire hydrant or a stepladder that allows you access to different parts of the level. Or it puts out a fire in the volcano. Just things like that. And so they've plotted out a platformer where you have to play it in a linear fashion, but there's a bit of like an A and B route for some of them. But in order to play the game, you need to like have a notepad out and like write down, okay, I can go back to this bit, I can go back to that bit. And I think that's really clever as well, that it's a platformer with like a strategy to it. And I think all 3 of these games are fantastic, but I still think the original Wario is the best. Even though Wario Land 2 and 3 have this really cool mechanic where Wario can't die or fall to his death, but he can get Tom and Jerry'd.
What's Tom and Jerry?
So like he can get flattened, and
Okay.
then you're playing as a flattened Wario,
Oh.
but that allows you to go squeeze into like tighter spaces.
I get you for sure with the like the original's the best, because like it kind of sounds like there's a purity to that one, but at the same time, like, you really got to respect them for just how far it sounds like they pushed the concept.
They tried something new each time.
That's awesome.
And the game is experimental, but it's like a successful experiment.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because I know it was made by Nintendo Research and Development 1, and that doesn't exist anymore, but I just think they were firing on all cylinders, this specific team. And it's a really small team of people, but they made some fantastic games.
Cool. Bryan, that sounds great. Guys, I played Lonely Mountain Downhill. Yeah. So this is... Niamh, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Can I go to the bathroom? I'm so
Why
sorry.
can't you wait for the fucking section break? She's just going every... Are we going to keep recording?
I'm going to pause it.
Bye.
We're just going to... You good now, Niamh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I played Lonely Mountain Downhill. This is a game about being a person on a bicycle and cycling downhill.
Can't relate.
I was cycling today. I love cycling.
Yeah, I've started cycling in a wooded area near us, and what I do is I found this mix on YouTube that's like, I thought it was like this kind of vapor wavy remix of the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack, but then I realized it's just the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack slowed down to like 300%. And I realized this because like I was getting real into it. I was like up in the hills like cycling, and there wasn't fucking anyone around, and I always think like either I am going to be murdered or could murder someone up here. And I'm listening to like just this real fucking etheric, weird, slowed down Silent Hill music, and then next thing I hear James's voice go, "Could she really be in this town?"
You okay, James?
Yep. I mean, Lonely Mountain Downhill. It's fucking cool. It's got this really simple look to it, where everything looks like really low poly.
Yeah.
It nearly kind of has a kind of sort of paper crafty look to it.
Yeah, it's all chunky.
Yeah, real chunky. And it's literally, you start off at the top of the mountain, you cycle to the bottom. It sounds so like well designed and crunchy, and you can hear like the little spokes on the bike and like every little like hit of dirt and everything, and it's just a really lovely zone out game. And when like, you know, the restrictions are starting to lift in Ireland and the pandemic's going away, but it was a great outside simulator for me, so much so that I actually started cycling outside, and that's been kind of cool. And I really like this game. It's on Switch. It's like $15. I don't play a ton of it. I'll play it for like 20 or 30 minutes and then I'm done. But for those 20 or 30 minutes, I'm having a great time. Do you guys ever have a game like that where you're like, I don't play a ton of this, but when I play it, I like playing it?
Yeah, the One Piece Pirate Warrior games like that. I could just play half an hour of that. Because like to me, there's no rush finishing it.
Yeah.
I have a job like that, but it makes me a game like that feels like a job and makes me feel guilty.
What is it?
Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. It's a gacha game on the mobile.
Is that one of those daily login games?
Oh yeah, I log in every morning. I do all my dailies, and I'm a shard away from getting my Anakin.
Are you getting like? Do you get like a dopamine hit?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It makes the
It's a
Star
gacha
Wars
game.
pew pew noises really good.
Okay.
But yeah,
What are you guys' dopamine games?
probably Destiny.
Bloodborne, but it's a real good high.
Yeah. Because for me, for a long time, it was Binding of Isaac, but now it's becoming Streets of Rage 4.
Ooh, I've been playing Streets of Rage
Okay,
4.
we'll get to that.
Okay.
First, though, I have been super curious about If Found. Jesus Christ, Niamh, can you do it? Okay, Bryan, pause it there. I just want to shout at Niamh for a bit. What the fuck is wrong with you this episode? Get your fucking shit together. We are running a fucking business here, and I am so sick of fucking pretending to be friends with you assholes. I am so sick of the pricks that listen to this podcast. I am so fucking sick of this shit. Niamh, get your fucking shit together. Okay, Bryan, you can hit record again. So, Niamh, I've been super curious about this little Irish indie title.
Achoo. If Found is a visual novel from Irish developer Dreamfeel.
That's a great name.
I know. Can you feel a dream?
I can't believe Dreamfield wasn't already taken. Like that's
I know.
so good.
And this is an emotional journey. Like, I felt like I got hit by a truck, and it was sad. A sad gay truck. It is set on Achill Island in 1993, Ireland. So Achill Island, island off of Ireland.
Off the west coast, yeah.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
And it is about Cassio, a trans girl living her life. And it's like, I find it really hard to talk about visual novels because the experience is the story kind of thing. But this is a really interesting game because it's just like so weird and special to see Ireland represented in a video game.
Totally.
Like, down to slang, down to just like names and just like location and just the feel of like, we were teenagers in late 90s, early 2000s Ireland. Like,
and the world was much smaller then.
Yeah, and it was just like, and I'm from like rural Ireland specifically, and this like game just like captures that so succinctly. Like, just the beauty and horror, and I mean real horror, of being in a rural place in Ireland. It captures it. It captures the isolation. It captures the feeling of everyone knowing your business and everyone commenting on it. It captures the feeling of your parent wanting what's best for you and not understand what you want to do, you know? And,
Yeah.
And just being like, you know when a parent is just like, oh, well, Mary's son is a banker kind of thing, you know? And I heard his way, and it's this kind of this like, you know what they're trying to communicate to you.
Yeah, I can remember my mum like leaving forums down on the kitchen table and being like, just take a look at these, John. They could be interesting. I looked at it and it was like the Garda entry form.
It's this specific like kind of like passive aggressive thing in Irish countryside where you're punished not through nearly violence but through isolation, or everyone kind of knowing your business and commenting on it in a little way. And this game like captures that. And that's not all obviously what rural Ireland is, because it also captures the beautiful side of it and the unique strangers you meet who really affect you, and like you take with you and you take their little words of wisdom and how much they mean to you within a kind of structure that is so maybe suffocating. And it's about this character called Cassio, and she is gone to Dublin from Achill, and she's done 2 college courses, and she's coming back home before she does her PhD. And her mom's kind of like, when you getting a job? And also is not accepting the fact that Cassio is trans, and is just kind of like, I watched this thing on TV about like subcultures, and just really questioning it. And if you don't know, in 93, that was the year that homosexuality was decriminalized in Ireland.
Fucking hell.
So it's like really got all that weight on it, and like okay, let's get to how you engage with this game. You engage with it through using an eraser. So
it's not like a scratch card, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're rubbing across the screen and that will move to the next part of the story. And there's something really beautiful about that. It's like kind of like you're erasing something and moving on. And there's something sad about that because you're erasing and leaving something.
Yeah, I get that.
And it just works in this way that I wasn't expecting it to. I didn't think I would find the act of rubbing something out kind of cathartic and interesting with the gameplay, but I really did. The artwork is beautiful. It has this really simplistic style that when it needs to be airy and lonely, it works, but when it needs to be warm and full, it works.
Yeah, it's got like a really light line thickness to it.
Yeah,
like very floaty.
It's sketchy. It feels like notes in a sketchbook. It feels like a diary that you're reading. It feels extremely personal, but also extremely relatable to anyone who grew up in Ireland during that time. And just anyone in general. I think it is very much strongly an LGBT game, but I think you can relate to this if you ever felt any feeling of isolation. And it's really nice to see all this Irish slang. It has a glossary that drops down to show you how to pronounce things correctly and what things mean. And just things that I wouldn't think of that people might understand, just like TV programs that we would have watched in our childhood and stuff like that, and just kind of a cup of tea, that kind of means socially even. It
is kind of weird because very occasionally I do run into cultural differences, especially with an American audience and growing up in Ireland. I remember a big thing when I did the Sonic video and I had like that backstory in the Sonic video. I included some line about like a 12-year-old smoke or 10-year-old or 12-year-old smoking cigarettes, and a bunch of people in the comments were like, what kind of 12-year-old smokes cigarettes? And it's like, let me tell you about early 90s Dublin.
You do whatever the fuck you want,
Yeah.
kid.
I remember my first cigarette was given to me when I was 8 by my granny, and she like says, "Go on, stick them down in your pants there." You know,
By the time I was 14, I was like getting fucking drunk in fields with people.
The first time I had a drink, I was like maybe 5, and my mom gave it to me because it makes a cute photo, like me with a pint. You know, your parents are like, that's mad crack, that's gas. They put a little hat in you and they give you a pint in your hand, and you have a sup. And
it's like there's this like we play video games, and they're so. Like, they're American, they're Japanese, you know.
Yep.
And it's just so nice to play an Irish one, and you really feel it. Like, I didn't think I would, but I really did. Like, it really resounded in me. It felt authentic in a way I'm not used to feeling.
That's class. That's really cool.
Yeah, so if you like if you
what did you play this on, Niamh?
I played it on iPad. It's available on Steam and on like iOS.
Yeah, it probably works great on iPad because
the erasing on it as well. I watched a stream where the streamer was playing it, just as Kazi was playing it on Steam, and they like a thing I missed from the iOS is you don't get the little eraser icon on iOS, but you get it on Steam, and I liked the eraser icon. I thought there was something kind of solid about that.
And did he like it?
Loved it.
Yeah,
loved it. This is a visual novel, so its entire story, like its entire being is a story, and I don't want to give it away, but I found this a really profound game.
I feel like you've sold the game hard enough that you don't need to give anything more about it.
How long is it?
2 hours, maybe 2.5, 3.
Perfect. That's a great length.
Yeah.
And is the game linear? Like, is there multiple options, or do you just...
You see, there's also a little bit of a time travel space aspect to this. Cassio is, like, studying science in school and in college, and it opens up on a spaceman in a space station. And it gets to a point in it, like, it comes to a head and an emotional peak in the story where it kind of cuts between those two things. But it is mostly linear for a large chunk of it, except for the start and the end, where it kind of like pushes these kind of elements into the narrative. But they work completely to tell this like really beautiful story. And I just like the music slaps. Like,
Michelle was listening to the playlist.
So good. Yeah. Like, this is amazing music. And like there's a bit in it where like you know that feeling when you're a teenager and you're all hanging out together in like a shitty building, and it's cold, but the warmth of everyone being there, like you feel cold physically, totally. But like there's just like this energy to being there. Cold. Yeah, college, exactly.
Yeah, because like who's going to pay for the heating?
You had to keep partying because otherwise it would get really cold.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and there's a moment in this where like a band like is formed and plays a song, and the music just works so well with the writing, with well with the revealing of text through the rubbing and the eraser mechanic, that it just punches, and it just feels like you're at a gig, and it feels like you're at like a little DIY college gig, and it works so well. There's something so extremely charming and honest and emotional about this game that I was like, this is not the genre of game I play. This is not the platform I play on. And it hit me more than so many other things ever.
Cool.
And I really like, if you're just curious about Irish culture, go get it. It's Pride Month. If you want to support a game with a trans narrative, just get it. It's just like, it's worth your time. It's a $5 on iOS, $10 on Steam. Just totally support Irish developer. Just give it a go. It's just an experience that was so powerful and so strong, and just came together beautifully. Like, it's a beautiful package. It's like everyone who worked on it should feel extremely proud.
Okay, good stuff. Glad to hear. I will definitely check that out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it this year.
Yeah. Bryan.
Yeah.
Dead Space 2.
What started at the beginning of the year of a Resident Evil chase staff feeling action horror quest has now fallen into the Dead Space trilogy. I'm in the middle of it. Just beat Dead Space 2, and this is one of my favorite games from the 360 PS3 generation. I think it's probably in my like top 5 of that era, like, because the game's almost 10 years old. I love Dead Space 1, but Dead Space 2 is probably my favorite out of the 3, and this is another game that's aged really well technically. It feels like, okay, so it follows from the events of Dead Space 1 where you play as the guy Isaac Clarke. They've done some great changes with him where now he talks.
He's a character now.
He's a character and doesn't talk that much, but he's got some great one-liners. And you know what? All things considered, he's a very likable guy. He doesn't say anything specifically obnoxious. He says stuff that is worth saying at that moment in time, and he's a very good protagonist to play as in the game. And you play as Isaac Clarke, and you're in an insane asylum on a space station on our solar system. I think it's outside either Saturn or Jupiter, but another infestation of the marker plague of everyone turning into necromorphs happens on this space station, and you have to fight your way through it and escape.
That's so depressing that we've like mastered space travel, but we need asylum still.
Yes, but the asylum is...
we'll fuck it up. We'll like...
But,
no question.
But it turns out the asylum is a cover-up for the evil space cult church.
Oh, cool.
And so the previous game...
I'm just saying, throughout history, we survive.
So the previous game touches on the Unitology religion and the marker and the space cult, and I guess it's supposed to be like a mishmash of like Scientology and Catholicism, where it's their like complete manifestation of everything that they eat, sleep, and drink. It's their like it's all of their personality is based on this religion, and it's a really, really dangerous religion, and it's obviously a cult, but they really lean into it in this game, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, because remember in the first game, like that stuff came into it all right,
yeah,
but
towards
like,
the end,
it never it felt a bit pulled out to me. Like it just didn't really land. But it's cool if they take that concept and really like flesh it out.
Yeah. So with this game, you play as Isaac. It's all from his perspective. It's more or less done as one single camera take, as a third-person action survival horror. But you're constantly getting like radio calls in from other people who promise that they'll help you out of your situation, but really they just want to kidnap you because you've witnessed extraterrestrial religious phenomena, and they want to steal the inside of your brain and kill you. And you can't trust
hate it when people do that shit.
And you can't trust anyone. And the game is kind of like, the game's built across like 12 chapters, but each hour of the game is a different part of the space station. It's a different set piece.
Oh, that's really cool.
And I think at the time
I wish more games did that.
Yeah. And I think at the time this is one of the most expensive games ever made. And half the budget was spent on the marketing. Because I think it had a big marketing where it was like moms hate Dead Space. And they had a bunch of...
I remember that.
And they had a bunch of moms playing the game, and because it's extremely over 18s, and like it has some really edgy gore in it.
Why would they do that? I feel like that's just like...
But like...
Okay, Niamh, I hate saying this, and this is such a shit answer, but it's also kind of true, because we're still talking about it.
The game is...
seriously,
also, the game is published by EA, and they wanted to make as much money as they could off this. And like the thing is, I didn't watch any of that stuff because I was already going to buy the game anyway, because I like the original, and I really like action survival horror. Like, survival horror is cool, but like, I don't like it when it's a bit too empty. I like when there's a constant feedback loop of really tight gameplay.
Yeah.
And the gameplay in the Dead Space games is so fucking good. Plays so good. And like, this game is only in 720p, but it's aged so nicely. Like the lighting and rendering and the models, and like it's got photorealistic like human characters, but like and they do look a bit uncanny, but like you don't really see them that much, and they're kind of far away most of the time. It's always from Isaac's perspective, and he's in like a head to toe uniform, or like a spacesuit, I guess, an engineer suit. And his suit designs in this game are way better than the first one. The first one had like really boring boiler suit designs that looked like unapproved concept from the BioShock games. Whereas this one kind of has like a riot suit and has like medical suits. Like they're kind of borrowing from the space station, so like it kind of fits in with the world, and like they use the space station to its full capacity. Like they have a nursery section where you're fighting children and baby necromorphs. You have like the rich part of the space station where everything is spread out more, and there's loads of treasure to hunt for, and there's lots of side quests there. And you've bits where you're outdoors. You've bits where you're being chased by an enemy that you kill at the end of the chapter. But it's also got these bits where like you're not playing an action game, you're playing like a weird puzzle game. It's got some puzzle bits. It's got this really awful bit in the game, and like it still fucks me up to this day, where you have to stick a needle in Isaac's eye.
No,
that's the bit. Yep.
And it turns into a middle game, like a little mini game, and like his eye is moving the entire time.
They're shooting it in macro, so like it all like the needle. You see the needle in his eye so clearly, but it's at a really funny angle, so you can't really be 100% precise. Because if it was like top down, you'd be able to like line it up just right. But because you're at like a 3/4 top view angle, and like his pupil keeps darting around, but you need to stick the needle in and extract the data from the inside of his brain, because the marker is causing him to hallucinate and see his dead girlfriend.
Eye shit just fucking drives me nuts.
One time I got knocked out and I had to go see a doctor, and one of the tests he had to do was take a scraping from the surface of my eye.
No.
And
way worse than getting knocked out.
And the thing about this game is, and I know it was put then into the Lara Croft reboots, the Tomb Raider reboots, is that it has all these like really gory alternative death animations, and one of them is of the eye botch.
No.
And it's so highly rendered and detailed. And it's just like the game is really like well made, but it does have this like edgelord aesthetic to it where
they were trying to make headlines. Like EA wanted Dead Space to be Resident Evil. They wanted to sell. I can't remember what the exact
different
figure
beheadings
is,
in this game.
but like they once gave like their projections for Dead Space 3, and it was something insane, like 10 million copies.
They did that with Tomb Raider as well.
Yeah,
but it's
and
so
both those
nuts.
games that came out in 2013 went like at the end of the life cycle.
Yeah,
it's so nuts that like 360 era like kind of shock like death animation made its way back into fucking Shadow of the Tomb Raider in 2017, 16. It's
I
just
think
like
that's
stopped
two
it.
cycles, you know.
Yeah, but it was just bad. No one wanted it. It was so shocking. The first time she died in that game, and she fell on rebar, and it was just gross. It was just like, why are we still doing this?
The bit where she gets impaled on a pike is just
not good.
No, it's not. But like the game has definitely aged, and like if there's enough necromorphs, the frame rate shits itself. But there's a kind of a charm to it where all the necromorphs look like stop motion Ray Harryhausen monsters.
Oh,
where I was kind of like, you know what? That's a pro. It's not. There's nothing wrong. Like, you know, there's a silver lining to everything in this game somehow.
Yeah.
It also has one of the best game completion unlockables ever, where you get a super weapon where it's like the most powerful weapon in the game, and it's a foam hand from a sports event. Like you know the thing you like put on
foam
your hand,
finger,
and foam finger, and it's a foam finger that one shot kills enemies, but it doesn't have a line of sight or a projectile. But he imaginary says bang, and an enemy explodes on cue.
That's pretty cool.
And so it's really difficult to master, but it's the strongest weapon in the game, and it's a foam hand, and like it's a big fucking bright fluorescent green foam hand.
Have you broken out your 360 for this?
I'm playing them on the PS3 just because I have it there instead. Okay. I have them on 360 and PS3, but I'm going to play the third one, but that was part of PS Plus a few years ago, so I have it in my basket.
Have you played the third one?
I did, and it's not a horror game, but it's got way more optional stuff, and like that game got criticized and like people didn't like it that much, but like it still controls real good, and it's
I think a lot of the criticism came from the microtransaction stuff.
Yeah, that was the microtransaction game.
I'm going to turn my PS3 offline to play that bit. So
how does it feel to go back to an older console?
The DualShock 3 is such a shitty controller.
So weird, isn't it?
And like it has no weight to it, and when like it's the same with the Wii U gamepad. Anytime you like pick up a controller that has no weight to it, and I think it's important to have like some sort of like,
even when I pick up the 360 controller, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it just feels like a cheap toy.
Yeah,
it's so weird. Like I got a PlayStation 2 game in that I've like I used to love Shadow Hearts, and I sold it, and now for some reason the price of that is inflated like crazy. It's like €100 to get, and I managed to get a cheap copy, and I want to play it, but every time I think of playing a PlayStation 2 game,
so gross.
yeah, I'm just like, man, I can't screenshot this. Like it feels so weird. But
I have done, like, you do get used to it, but the first couple hours is like a pain.
Also, the battery life in the DualShock 3 is so bad. And, like, it'll run out the juice in between turning the console on and off. So the next day you'd, like, boot up the console, you need to recharge the controller from scratch. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's because the battery is bad in the system, but, like, it's chugging.
Are you going to do Dead Space 3 then after
absolutely.
this? Okay.
I got it. I got to see this through.
Cool. Guys, I've been playing AI Somnium Files.
What's that?
I have never heard of this. What is this?
Okay.
What this?
So this is a game from Spike Chunsoft, and it's from the director of 999, Virtue's Last Reward, and Zero Time Dilemma.
You love these games.
I love 999 and Virtue's Last Reward. I think they're games that require a lot of patience, but if you are willing to dig into them and get into the final hours of those games, they return to you in spades.
I don't think anyone likes Zero Time Dilemma.
I like it as a shitty horror movie, but, like, Virtue's Last Reward made me think about space-time and string theory and all this other crazy shit. Zero Time Dilemma is like, yeah, I wonder how this guy's gonna die. It's fun, but it's not in the same league. This game came out last year, and I've played maybe 6 hours of it so far. And this is one of those games where I sit down with it and I look at my watch and 3 fucking hours are gone. The kind of idea is that you're a detective in this unit called Abyss, who specialize into diving into people's consciousness and seeing what's happening there and kind of like solving their mental damage.
It's The Cell.
I guess.
I love The Cell so much.
And then, like, using their testimony to also help solve crime.
It's The Cell.
Okay, cool.
That's a Jennifer Lopez movie that you should watch.
I've actually been meaning to for a long time.
And Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vincent Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn?
No,
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn's also in
Yeah.
it, but the killer is the guy Kingpin from the Netflix Daredevil.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty early on. I like this game a lot. Like, a lot. It has a really cool look to it, and I was like, man, I really, really like how these characters look, and I was wondering what it is, and then I looked it up, and Bryan, it's our boy from No More Heroes and Fire Emblem Awakening, same character designer.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and it's just really cool. There's a lot of stuff I like about it, and there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but I think I'm going to wait till I'm a little further on into it. But what I really just enjoy about it is just the dialogue is really well written and really funny, and there's all these really great jokes in it. Like, you can click on this one guy, like, he's just like a regular officer, and you can ask him what his name is, and then you can, like, have a conversation with him about, like, the murder and find out all about, like, what's happening and all this kind of stuff. And the murder is really intriguing because basically it's this serial killer called the Cyclops Killer. And this was a killer that was active 6 years ago and just stopped. But your character has insomnia from 6 years ago, and none of the other police will talk to him about the previous case. And it's like, that's fucking weird. And I was like, okay, I'm obviously, like, it's going to be the revelation that I'm the Cyclops Killer. But then one of them, like, started joking that I was the killer. And it's like, oh, what? But anyway. It's got a really intriguing feeling of, like, slowly pulling on these threads and unraveling a conspiracy. But as I was saying, like, the dialogue is really fun. A lot of the time they really kind of have fun with how, like, the game gamifies conversations. So with that like, just regular officer who you, like, interview and, like, ask about what this murder is about, I, like, did all that stuff, and then, like, I asked, and then it's like the only option left was his name, and I'd already asked him his name, and so I just clicked on that again. He goes, it's Kagami, sir. And then the option was left again. I clicked on it again. He goes, my name's Kagami. Are you all right, sir?
And that option kept appearing, and every time I click it, he would get more believably just like, what the fuck, till the point that he's like screaming at you, being like, my name is Kagami! And it was really, really funny. And then later on, the same fucking thing happened again, but he starts off from the exact like same level of exasperation, because he didn't have a proper character model. He's just like has a generic police officer model. So I asked his name, and he goes, are you serious? Like, are you fucking serious? And it's really funny, and there's a lot of stuff like that in it. In the game, you like have like a weird like adoptive daughter, and she's about 12 years old, and her dialogue is so fucking cutting and funny, and she just says the most devastating things to you, and the detective is like, oh, but it's great. I want to give this game like a proper pitch when I'm like played more of it, but like I cannot wait to get back to it. It's like great. It's like a visual novel style game with like investigative sections, kind of like the Arkham Asylum investigation parts.
Yeah.
What are you playing it on?
Here's the bummer, at least for us. This game came out on PS4 and Switch and Steam last year, except in the UK and Ireland.
Oh.
In the
dear.
UK and Ireland, the game, for whatever reason, did not get a certification and was not released either digitally or physically on Switch and PS4. I've never heard of that happening.
Me neither. So what are you playing it on? PC?
Steam, yeah.
Steam.
I'm playing it on my laptop, and it's not like that a resource-intensive a game, but I have had like the odd issue with it. But it's fucking cool, and like, I've had some people really recommend this to me and be like, this game goes some places, and so I'm already like having an amazing time with it. I think it looks beautiful. The music's cool. The voice acting's phenomenal. It's like it's a really good time, and I can't wait to play more.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. The art direction looks fucking.
Oh,
unreal.
it's awesome. Like it's just great. Niamh, Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah, so I'm playing Streets of Rage 4. Finished it, actually. Had a great time. That is a beautiful looking game.
Yep.
With a really fun gameplay. I played a lot of Cherry Hunter on your recommendation.
Cherry Hunter is the best.
And I played this game completely co-op with our friend Stephanie.
Good Steph players.
She went first with Blaze and then switched to Adam and preferred Adam.
Adam is so fucking hot in this game.
Hi, Steph. I hope you're embarrassed.
And we had a great time playing through it in co-op. I tried to play it single player, and I was not into it as much as co-op. This game shines in co-op. Like, it was a real fun experience. I'm sure I might have gotten into it single player style, but from going from co-op to single player, it just didn't have the same punch to it. And I think what you were saying before about the music might have something to do with that, because the music to me is just nada. Nothing.
There's one or two killer tracks in there. There's one or two tracks I really like, but... And it sucks because I know they got a lot of like guest artists and stuff in, but so much of the music is just kind of flat to me, and that's like the culture of Streets of Rage. Like,
Yeah, the original Streets of Rage soundtrack is amazing.
the original Streets of Rage was fucking house music coming out of a Genesis, and it was incredible. This is, a lot of it just kind of feels like shitty house music. Like, and I wish they had more taken like the medium that the original music was communicated in and concentrated on that, as opposed to just like, here's some house music.
But on the positive, this game is gorgeous looking.
Yep.
The backgrounds are gorgeous. Just the environmental design is gorgeous. The characters look great. The character animation is nice.
Really fun enemy design.
Yeah, the enemy design is fantastic. Everyone is so hot. Like, super, super hot. Love Estelle.
Told you.
Just great. Mwah. Very rude because she's a cop, but at the end she reverts.
Yep.
So that was pretty good.
I drew some fan art of Estelle during the week, and I felt very conflicted over it.
And like, I like how political it is. Like if you play the original Streets of Rage, it has that like really good like end credit where it's just like, you can't trust a cop, so only trust your fists kind of thing. And they kept with that theme.
Totally. Yep.
Like you're fighting like kind of police chiefs going through it and stuff, and you're fighting like loads of different people.
There's a bit where the police chief punches open his own desk and there's a big bribe in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, they've bought the cops.
Gotta fucking clear out that corruption.
Yep.
And it's really fun, and like Estelle, who's a cop, then realizes everything's corrupt as well, and like they really go for it. And you said as well that it was diverse, and it is super diverse. Like half the roster is black characters, and it's like really great and like really fantastic, and just like the enemy design is good. There was so much to like about this game, and it was just such a fun co-op experience.
Yep.
And really just loved it as a quick short burst of adrenaline.
Yep. I feel like one of the reasons I'm kind of happy to talk about it today is I feel like I maybe undersold this game a little when I talked about it, because I've been playing a lot of it since, and where the game has really become something else for me is actually on the harder difficulties. I've been playing through the game on Mania. That's the hardest difficulty, and the design choices of this game fucking shine when it's like on hard, because all of a sudden stuff like, you know, the combo counter in it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you can rack up a high combo, and then when you get a really high combo, you get a lot of bonus points, and those bonus points contribute to you getting an extra life. On the harder difficulties, you have to do that because you only have one life, and there's so many enemies. And so like whether you're going to be able to beat the boss is going to depend on you getting like a huge combo. But combos are their own risk reward mechanic, because you want to keep them going as long as you can to build up like a really big number. But if you just stand still and let your combo fade out, that's going to cash it in and you'll get all those points. But if an enemy hits you during your combo, that breaks your combo and you get nothing. And so it becomes this really intense game of chance where you're like going, oh, I know, like if I know I can go up to this guy and I can combo him this much and keep the combo going, but then I know this guy is kind of close next to him and he could break my combo if this animation happens. And it becomes this really intense game of like analyzing the situation and crowd controlling and working it. And it just means, what I'm getting at is there's like a depth to this game that was not apparent to me on normal difficulties. And like, I agree with you, I didn't like it that much when I was playing it like by myself, and I felt like there was an intensity to the co-op that I loved. But now I nearly prefer playing it by myself, because I have each level and each section mapped out in my head of, okay, I need to walk up to this character, I need to punch them 3 times, then I need to grab them and throw them behind me because the other character is going to be jump kicking me at that point. That kind of gameplay is not for everyone, but it is like fucking crack to me.
So lower difficulty shines in co-op, higher difficulty if you want to be a solo.
Yeah,
like,
I would encourage everyone to like do a solo playthrough, or not a solo playthrough, just do a playthrough on normal. It doesn't matter if you're doing it in co-op or single. That's the tutorial for me. And Mania is where I've spent, I'd say, 20 hours at this point, and I'm only on level 7. Estelle on hard, it's not a good time.
Okay.
A good time for John.
I really liked how the your special move takes health away from you using it, so you have to like manage that meter as well.
So I love that, because in the old Streets of Rage, your health would take your special moves, your big heavy hits would take health away from you. In this new one, you can combo your health back. So it takes health, but it leaves a green mark. And
well,
you
like
can
Bloodborne.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got the Bloodborne mechanic.
Fuck yeah.
But if you get hit, you lose it all.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. And it's a fucking excellent game.
How do you feel about the last boss? Because like it's one of those like giant head with giant arms.
Yeah, not okay.
Not my favorite.
I'd rather fight a dickhead politician.
Yeah, I'd rather fight a dude.
They are dickhead politicians,
yeah, exactly.
But they're driving a mech.
Yeah, it's like one of the there's like 2, and one of them hops into a mech, so it's just one of those like giant heads with like arms that come into the screen.
I kind of get what they're going for, because the last boss of Streets of Rage 2, his thing was that he had a gun.
I'd rather fight a shredded.
That is kind of cool. Like,
that's cool thematically.
Yeah, and
like,
I get
that.
I think they were trying to build on that, but also I felt like the Y twins. I love them. I think they're both very attractive.
Yeah, Miss White. She's my number.
Because like she's got a cute dress, but you can tell she's fucking built. Just saying. But Yeah, I think the only part of the game I honestly found kind of a letdown was that last boss fight.
Me too. I really like with that kind of like spider legs in on the kind of your stage. I always find it hard to know when I'm hitting something, and it doesn't feel like it's connecting in the same way.
The entire rest of the game letting you fight humanoid characters, and it's weird to go a different direction with that.
So you're not sure if you're fighting a BG element that's active or not.
Yeah. It feels
I spent the first half of that fight just trying to figure out how to do damage.
Exactly. Same here. And then I was just like, okay, when I do this, like I'm hitting it for sure. And like it took a while to get there, but it took half the fight to know what I was doing, and then it was over, kind of thing.
It should have been like a big muscly politician that calls in like airstrikes or something.
That's basically what it used to be.
Yeah, like that's still relevant.
Yeah. But yeah, awesome game. Would recommend.
Yeah, gorgeous looking game. Love the 2D assets. They put a lot of work into it. Wish they did the cuts a little bit more with cutscenes.
Right.
Yeah, like even when you're playing with 2 characters, like they show all 4 and they'll kind of highlight specific ones. I think if you're like playing as 2 characters, they could
yeah, just customize it to
nix
those.
the other ones or something.
I'd also
do something
like a
that.
little bit more of those characters.
Yeah.
You know? But, I mean, this is a sequel that's been fucking 25 years coming. I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I had a great time. It's been one of my favorite gaming experience this year is playing it with co-op.
Totally. And the more I played into Mania, the more this game has been creeping up my game of the year list. Definitely. Guys, let's do some Quicktime Events.
Sure.
Guys.
Yeah.
New Silent Hill 3 DLC for another game.
For Dead by Daylight.
Yes.
It's like the hype meter goes up and then slowly down.
Yeah.
But that was
That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
So this is the killer survival game where
the asymmetrical multiplayer game.
Yeah, it's got your monster movie villain and you can be a team against it okay.
I've played a bunch of Dead by Daylight.
It seems cool.
It's fun if you have a group of friends to play it, and what was cool about this specific Silent Hill DLC trailer, it was cool to see Heather rendered in that way. They could have done a big bombastic trailer, but it was really subtle. It's like her peeking out a door.
I feel like from a Dead by Daylight perspective, hell yeah, this is cool. From a Silent Hill perspective, oh god, put the gun to my fucking head.
So the monster is Pyramid Head.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the hero is Heather.
Yeah.
But it's not Heather, it's her twist reveal name.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Mary.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, sure. I hate being a fucking old crotchety asshole. Pyramid Head should only appear in Silent Hill 2. Because whenever I say that, people are like, well, actually, if you look into the lore, shut the fuck up.
No, he's James's monster.
I don't give a shit.
He's James's monster, but as far as iconography goes, it makes sense for Dead by Daylight because it's literally best of monster mash.
Sure,
it's like
sure.
it's
that's
Michael Myers.
That's why I say
know?
from Dead by Daylight, this is awesome. For the perspective of just someone who's a thirsty fucking boy for some Silent Hill,
Here's some scraps.
I enjoyed those scraps. And me and a lot of people I know are really big Silent Hill 3 fans, and it was just I think seeing the Heather render and just seeing Heather rendered like that was just such a big treat in and of itself.
And you know what? Heather fucking rules. Even I did a playthrough of Silent Hill 3 a while ago, and she is such a great character. I love her.
So it was cool to see. So if you've played Silent Hill 3 and you like Heather, just check out this trailer just to see her. No one needs to play Dead by Daylight, but it was kind of cool to see it because who knows what Silent Hill is or isn't anymore.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah, at least it's not completely dead.
I mean, that is the other side of it. It's okay, they still remember that this exists, so that's something. But look, I just want James Sunderland in PlayStation All Stars. Is that so much to ask?
You want James in Konami Crazy Racers?
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Pyramid Head's in that, isn't he?
He is, yeah. And so is Count Dracula. and Grey Fox. And going on. All the fucking favorites.
We didn't put it on the list, but I just wanted to mention real quick. Devotion is getting a super limited physical release.
I tried to buy this, but it's impossible.
Yep. My opinion on Devotion has not changed an iota. Fucking best horror game I've played in the longest time. Really pulling for Red Candle Games to do a proper release of that, and this gives me hope. This gives me hope that they will.
This was a Taiwanese exclusive physical release, and it was gorgeous. It like just as someone who likes collecting things, it came with like a VHS tape. Don't know what's on it. It came with a little like a book of a children's story.
I bet it's the contest.
Ooh. There's a company called Limited Run Games.
Yeah.
They've started doing physical releases, because I know the other one, Nicalis, the guy who runs that, is a jerk. Mm-hmm. So that's...
Oh yeah, he got in a lot of shit, didn't he?
Yeah, he took the money and ran. But it seems like there is a venue, there is an option for them, but I guess this is them testing the waters in their own region.
Yeah, and like it's a beautiful like collector's edition. Like I feel like this is gonna sell on eBay for crazy money. But like hopefully something like this will come to the West.
Yeah. Niamh, can I ask you to read this next headline, please?
Street Fighter V Season V with V new characters. Is that what you wanted?
Yep.
Is V the stand-in for 5 in this case?
Yep.
The PlayStation 5, everyone.
Yep.
Street Fighter 5 Season 5 with 5 new characters.
Yep.
Who are the 5 new characters?
555.
I'm gonna say Makoto, Q, Oro, and some shitty new character.
Makoto's still not in the game.
Makoto's not in the game.
What the fuck?
I know!
Lads, come on
Give
now.
me my karate friend!
Come on now, Capcom.
Because, like, Ormeek is cool, but Makoto is actually cool.
Why she should have been in it years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy she's not in it. One of the best Street Fighter characters. She broke the vagina tax.
I don't know what that is.
The vagina tax is this shitty thing in Street Fighter for the longest time, where for whatever reason there was never... Basically, like 1000 is like the average health, average HP of a Street Fighter character, and for ages there was no female character who had higher than that, who had higher than like 900. I think Makoto, if I'm right, had 1100.
She's a rock.
She's the first female character to break that barrier, so she broke the vagina tax in Street Fighter.
Good for her.
Now, they would compensate by giving like female characters more attack and stuff, but it was still stupid.
She's a well-balanced character.
You learn something new every day.
Yep, there you go.
Makoto's great. Cool.
Yeah, I'm curious. Bryan, why don't you tell us a bit about the Wholesome Directs and the Indie Game Showcase?
Yeah.
Niamh, shut your fucking mouth.
Is this like,
It's
is that
after
it? Is that what
11.
you have to say about
I want to
Street Fighter?
fucking go to bed. I'm tired.
We still have like an hour left, you know?
Yeah, John's bedtime is like 10 o'clock, so he's cranky boy.
I'm not insulted by that because it's true.
Let's call this episode the Bedtime Babies.
Okay.
Because it harkens back to the baby as well. The Wholesome Direct was a really cool idea. It's a 30-minute digital event where they were just talking about indie games from all around the world, small teams, you know.
I mean, what more would I have to say about Street Fighter 5, Niamh? I don't know who the fucking characters are, okay?
John, you put it on there.
These are small teams, generally about 3 people. They would introduce the teams, and it's all done over video call, and it was very wholesome, for sure, and very personal, and you got to see the faces and the game, and all the games are cute and charming, and they kind of made a point that, okay, these games are wholesome, and a lot of these games are going to be kind of sweet and innocent, but some of them are going to deal with difficult themes, and they kind of discussed them a bit, so it wasn't all cute and twee, which I appreciated. There was a bit of a mature edge to it as well, and it's half an hour long. It's on YouTube, and I encourage everyone to watch it.
What platform are these coming to?
It's hard to tell, but I get the feeling a lot of them are on Steam or itch.io.
And will come to consoles
And
eventually.
will come to consoles eventually. A lot of them were kind of like Kickstarter games from a couple of years ago that are finally kind of in the final phase of development. Some of them are out later this year. Some of them are out in the coming weeks. Some of them are out ? But I think it was a nice collaboration of different people around the world that are probably supporting each other. They probably only have like a couple hundred followers, but it was nice to just see them collaborate and have a platform.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check that out. It's a super cool idea.
I might loot drop it as a collective thing, because I've done that the last couple episodes where it's kind of like, here's one from all of us, or here's kind of like a general loot drop, so I might have that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I do think it got missed by some of the bigger things, and I think it's worth your time now just to check it out.
I know we have a lot of soft people who enjoy this podcast. I'm sure they'd appreciate it.
Yeah, it's full of marshmallowy goodness.
Yeah, cool. The Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope delayed from summer to fall 2020.
That's it in a nutshell. They put out a statement saying that COVID-19 and working from home has delayed things, and their health of their employees is paramount, and thus the delay.
Yeah, it certainly has, and that's a reasonable, fair thing to happen.
What do you guys want from this?
To be better than the last one. Man and Medan did not light a fire under me.
Yeah. Because I think what I don't need is another, like, here's an interactive horror movie. Like,
That's still hard.
I know, but like, I think that, like, I think that's what was cool about Until Dawn, but I just don't think I need that again.
I'd want the game to be like interesting from the first minute and not have fucking 30 minutes of busy work.
I think, like, put it out in October around Halloween.
Yep.
Get people spooky. They're ready for it. And just, I don't know, a good story with less cliched characters built around a celebrity appearance, because that's what Man and Medan was.
Who is the celebrity of Man and Medan?
One of those little gnomes from Lord of the Rings.
Which one?
I don't know.
Legolas. No, like with the hobbits.
The sexiest
Strider.
gnome. Yeah,
What?
it was one of the hobbits.
Elijah Wood.
With, like, man.
'Cause
Gandalf.
No, it was not Elijah Wood. Do you think they get Elijah Wood? It was
He
one
loves
of the worst
horror,
ones.
and he loves
but
indie.
no, this is like the worst, like a lesser one. I don't know who this
What,
is.
Merry or Pippin?
Wait, Sean Ashmore.
I don't know who the fuck that is.
Whoa.
Sean, see, a lesser hobbit.
Off the top of my head, I'm sure if I saw a photo, I'd be like, yeah, that little fella.
It's
But-
one of
Oh
the-
my god, no, he's not even a hobbit. He's Iceman in X-Men.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah,
From the 2000s?
yeah.
The guy who joined Magneto's cause off camera because
Yeah.
they couldn't write it.
Yeah.
That's the worst part of X-Men 2.
I'm sure his ability to affect that was limited.
Well, yeah, maybe less Sean Ashmore and more good writing.
Okay. We'll let them know.
It's been delayed. They listened to this podcast. They're
I'm
gonna-
sorry, Sean Ashmore looks like he could have been in Hobbit.
Yeah. A lot of people could look like they'd be a
Niamh, you know
hobbit.
what? We're gonna take your beef with Sean Ashmore off air, okay?
Okay.
We'll sit down. We'll figure out a plan, and we'll just figure out to do what to do about the whole Sean Ashmore situation.
He listens to this
Okay.
podcast. He's going to want to
Oh,
contact
fuck,
you
does he?
directly. He's very upset.
Who else listens to this podcast?
Kanye.
Kanye.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Yeah, Kanye.
Still.
Kanye only listens to one podcast, and it's That's by the Boss.
Okay, wow. He's gonna be very disappointed when he finds out.
A lot of the cast from The Office listen to the podcast.
Really?
Not the ones you think.
Okay. What about any wrestlers?
Who is your least favorite wrestler?
I love all wrestlers,
Just the beauty, the majesty.
even when I hate them. Just means they're doing a good job.
Daniel Bryan listens to the podcast
I love Daniel Bryan.
because he searched his own name and my name came up because it's Bryan with a Y, and he was like, all right.
Oh, you know who I fucking hate? Shit. English lad in New Japan. Everyone thinks he's great, but he's not.
The guy we saw.
Yes.
Yeah, he can't fucking hold a mic or get it. He's always botching moves, isn't he?
No, he's not. He's not. He's just an asshole.
Okay.
God.
His wrestling's good, Brian.
He,
He's just a
okay.
dick.
he wears like a Spider-Man suit because he jumps around a lot, and he does a bunch of stupid spots, and he's a shit storyteller, and I just don't think he's very good, but everyone loves him because he does fancy flashy moves.
Anyway, he's listening to this podcast and he's screaming his own name and he knows who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now if I ever meet him, I can be like, bro, I didn't mean you.
I met the other guy. Okay, the PlayStation 5, everyone.
The PlayStation 5, everyone.
There was a digital event. It was like an hour and 15 minutes long. That's a good length of time. Mm-hmm. First of all, before we get into anything, I was really impressed with this. This was like they kind of had something for everyone.
I feel like on a personal level, there's stuff that I really wanted that I didn't get,
But looking at this as like the announcement of a new console, they hit it out of the park.
Yeah,
absolutely.
totally. I had a great time with this. I was so pumped that I couldn't sleep afterwards.
This was very good marketing. It was they really knew what they were doing and they did it well.
I really appreciated how they did this thing where they'd show their bullshit concept trailer and then they'd be like, okay, and here's what the game actually looks like.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Here's your cinematic and here's your like third person.
Yeah, here's what you can show your uncle,
Yeah.
and here's what it's actually going to be like.
Yeah, so we don't need to talk about everything, but there was 26 games and 1.5 consoles because there's a disc and disc-less version of the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about the console before we talk about the games, even though that was done in the other order? So the first thing I thought when I saw it was air purifier.
Yeah, totally. I love it. Like, I genuinely love this design.
I think it's so cool that it's an organic shape to contrast the hard corners of the Xbox Series X.
If Xbox is going the absolute, like, this is where we lead with, like, straight lines and they give us literally a rectangle, this is going the opposite end of that, and it's just like, no, the future has curves. And it looks like a sandwich, but with curves.
It looks like melted ice cream.
Yeah, it is like, you cannot put a disc case on this without it sliding off. It is a white curved piece of plastic. It is
aggressively against stacking.
Yeah, it looks like your idea of the future from 2002.
But it also does look like an object in a household.
Yeah.
Because of like Dyson objects and... like it fits into an aesthetic that's already been established.
I like how unique it looks. Like, I feel like consoles have been very
standardized.
They
just
like,
a boring black
I don't
box.
love the design of this, but they went for it.
Yeah,
and I respect that.
Like, that's what like. Okay, like, part of me doesn't like this, but the other part of me really respects and loves the idea that we have already, before the consoles are even in our homes, we have already have an icon for this generation, and that is this crazy design. It's this white and blue lighted box that's fucking huge, by the way. It looks really big. If you look at the disc tray size, this looks tall as shit.
I checked the Eurogamer article where they were looking at the USBs and the disc drive and then putting it beside like the other tallest console, which I think is like the PS3. It's taller than the PS3. So it's not going to fit vertically in a lot of people's TV stands. It's going to have to stand out in the open in a living room.
Yep, you can place it horizontally as well, but this thing is long. But like, I like how we have already a denotion for this generation, and it's this crazy design. And I bet you once the Slim comes around, because it will in like 2-3 years after this launch,
there will be so many variations in color palettes.
They are going to like change this so much and make it look way more normal. But I kind of like how crazy this looks, just for the fucking fun of it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. You know, I think I'm gonna need to sit with it for a while, but
for me, the controller is more important than anything. And like, it looks... I can't wait to hold that
I
controller.
like the look of the controller. It took me a while, but I got there and I was like, this looks cool. This looks like a weird future controller.
They did a very good job of visualizing the haptic feedback with that like sand grain, like kind of Shudder effect that they did. There's someone outside. Don't mind them.
Shush.
We're talking about video games.
Talking about video games.
Okay, do you want to talk about some of the games that kind of caught our attention?
Yep. For like overall a great press conference, I thought a remaster of GTA 5 was a really weird way to start it.
Weird intro.
This is a 7-year-old game, and this is its third wind because it came out 2 generations ago at this point.
Yep.
It's got a huge online community, but like, sure, there you go.
Now, I get that they're like, we're going to make a lot more money off this, and they will, but no one cares about that but them, and just a very strange choice to kick off the... That had me like, oh, I don't know if this will be good.
I think it would have been more impactful if they were like, we're porting like Red Dead Redemption 2 to PS5 and it'll look great and the online is there. But it felt really weird that they were showcasing GTA 5 online.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, Miles Morales.
So there's some controversy about this that came out today.
Oh, it's a spin-off, yeah.
It's a remake. It's a remaster of the first Spider-Man game.
No, they clarified that again afterwards. So that was the Sony exec who said that, but he was actually wrong, and Insomniac came up and cleared it up. This is going to be like what Uncharted Lost Legacy was.
Yeah,
this is like a spin-off side story using the
that's much
world
better.
of PS4 Spider-Man. So this isn't built up from the ground with PS5 architecture.
But it's got a time skip because it's an older Miles.
Yeah, no, that's the Miles from the game.
He's got a different haircut and stuff.
Oh, he can cut his hair.
Okay.
But like
I'd
this
love a
is going to
haircut.
be using the PS4 kind of like the assets from that, and they're going to be making a Miles Morales game from that before Spider-Man 2.
Do you think this will come out in both systems then?
Who knows? Maybe not.
This is a launch
Maybe.
game anyway because it said holiday 2020. Like they still haven't given a release date or
You guys
price.
were rather outspoken. Like I streamed this event, and even during this bit, people in chat started talking about you two and how much you hate these games.
Yeah, I don't like Spider-Man 2018.
Man, I can only fucking imagine if I had uploaded the unedited version of you two tearing that game apart. Because you guys went on for like 15 minutes, and I was like, this is going to make people so mad.
It's not
I went
fun to
on
play.
about it on Twitter again, but like
I saw that and I was like, Jesus, Niamh.
I can't help myself. I don't think it's very good.
It's aged real badly now.
Yeah, it has aged super badly, and so has the DLC. But I hope they do Miles justice. I think Miles is a great character who has garnered a lot of love from
Miles fucking rules.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And he's a fairly young character. He only like came into comics in like 2011. Like he's not even 10 years old.
and like I think he's like one of just the like breakout heroes of like the post-millennium, because there's not a lot of them.
He's
you know,
such a cool kid.
yeah.
And I really liked in it, like you see how he moves, and it really looks like they took cues from Into the Spider-Verse, where he does that like leg flip. Like his animation is very specific to Miles. He moves differently than Peter, and I think that's a nice animation quirk to him.
I really hope they have his abilities with the camouflage and the venom kind of like numbness thing he does. That'd be cool.
Gran Turismo 7. Does anyone care?
No, next.
No.
Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart. Does anyone care?
Well, I want to say a little bit about Ratchet and Clank. I'm happy to see that platformers are back in a big way and showcase it. I also thought that the Ratchet and Clank demo that they previewed kind of showed the PS5 architecture off in a way that other games maybe didn't.
Yeah, really
like,
showed like crowds and world building
Yeah.
to its full effect.
Yeah, no, there was absolutely shit in that trailer where I was like, you could not do this on
Yeah,
CryEngine.
There's just so much
Rift
extra detail.
gameplay where you're moving through time. I don't know how that's going to integrate itself into gameplay, but there was multiple characters.
So,
there was shit happening in the background.
I think what it's going to be is that you control Ratchet and Clank at once, but Clank is going to be in the past, Ratchet's going to be in the future, and they have to do stuff to interact with each other's worlds. But and like there's stuff like that exists, but they could make it smooth in a way that would completely change up the feeling of that and look cool. I don't have. I'm zero sum with Ratchet and Clank. Nothing for them, nothing against them, but I thought this looked cool.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
did.
I thought it looked cool.
And they said with this one that it's specifically a PlayStation 5 game.
Yeah.
It's built from the ground up.
Good.
And it
PlayStation
looks
5.
like it. It looked
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Like I
Because it's really hard to tell what's like a
I
cross-platform
hate
game.
the hard to smart delivery stuff. Like I get that at a certain point it's good value for consumers and it's pro-consumer and that's great. But if I'm buying a new console, show me shit we can't do now, because otherwise what's the fucking point?
Yeah, especially at the price these things are going to
Yeah.
be. Like they didn't announce a price at this, but you
The
kind of
fact
want
that
to
they didn't
see
announce
it.
a price
Probably €500.
makes me feel like it could be north of €500.
Yeah,
Because the PS4 was €400 at launch.
500 minimum, I think.
Yeah. It's physically big as well.
If they do like 450 even, I'd be like, that's cool, but 500's a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, this looks cool. I was like I like how that girl appeared, and immediately
Ratchet.
everyone was just like, oh, Rule 34, and then I went onto Twitter like after the stream.
Oh, yeah.
Already shit.
Jesus Christ.
She's got a robot arm though as well. It's cool.
Guys, give it a
That's the
break.
sexiest thing a woman can have.
Yeah.
Bunny from the Sonic Adventure.
Bunny
cartoon.
Rabbit knows what she's about.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It's cool.
A sex symbol. Niamh, what do you think?
I thought she was cool looking, but...
I'm talking about Bunny Rabbit from Sonic.
Oh, I want to fuck her.
Project Athia from Square Enix and Luminous Productions.
This looked cool. I really liked it. I don't know if this is a real video game. Project Athia or Athia is like its working title, but it looked
So this
cool.
did look cool. What I would say is this absolutely has the feeling of a game we will never hear from again.
It feels like Deep Down, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
It feels like
totally.
you see this amazing
I do not trust this
trailer.
game. This is that is a nice animated short trailer that they made. Stray.
But it's like before we go into
Okay.
that, it's kind of like with like Tomb Raider and stuff. Square Enix obviously are
They're good at publishing.
they published that. It's like it kind of had this Tomb Raider vibe. We'll see. We'll see what Crystal Dynamics do after this Avengers game. Where was that? Who knows?
Oh yeah,
The
Yeah.
Avengers games are to come out on the PS4 by the end of the year.
Seemingly.
That's meant to be the last like PS4.
Oh, I could see
Mm-hmm.
like I could see that like if that's the case, I could see that not going down well because apparently that was in a pretty sorry state when people played it. But that was like a year ago. Maybe it's gonna be okay, but we'll see.
Stray. This is rest in peace humans. There's robots. Post-apocalyptic. You play
I
as
thought this looked cool.
you play as a cat with a gap with a backpack.
There
and
are not
sold.
enough / any games where you play as cats.
I thought the cat was very good.
Very good cat. I was into the whole art style. I liked the streetwear of the robots.
This was the moment where I was just like, oh, there's a huge diversity in like artistic design going on with these
Yes.
trailers, and they kept it going from this point on, and it was a really nice looking trailer, and like the animation influence throughout this entire showcase was very strong.
A lot of them felt like Annecy short films
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like
Yeah,
a
totally.
French animator's sketchbook. Because there's a couple of games in this where I'm just kind of like, it's very European animation based.
Returnal.
This
What was that?
this was the space woman with the two different colored eyes.
I
I
instantly thought of Moon of Madness when I saw
I
this.
thought this looked fucking cool. I was excited for this.
It kind of reminded me of Edge Tomorrow, where it's got the like die repeat aspect to
Yeah.
it. Returnal, I assume it's supposed to be a play on Eternal, but I have a fear that it might also rhyme with Maternal, and maybe
Oh
there's
no!
and because it has a female character, maybe it's going to be like the guilt of her unborn child.
But I wouldn't say you're wrong with that, because when you get a space narrative film, they put a woman in it, and it's just like she
worked.
couldn't have a
She's
baby.
pregnant
Yeah.
with an alien.
Like, okay, it worked in Alien, but that was a very long time ago, and we need to do a different game now,
Okay,
please.
that aside, I thought this game looked fucking cool, and like the
Yeah, it
idea
looked
that
cool.
you were exploring this fucked up alien planet on a kind of death loop cycle, that there's kind of like this road.
You're doing like a suicide run each time.
That sounds awesome. Like that sounds so good. And like I thought some of the creatures they showed were real good and spooky.
Yeah. They actually did look otherworldly.
Yeah.
They did not look like they belonged on planet
That
Earth.
giant eye
Yeah.
monster thing, that looked horrifying. Like I thought this looked great.
Yeah. Sackboy, A Big Adventure, which is a Little Big Planet spin-off.
I thought putting Sackboy after showing Ratchet and Clank off didn't really work, in the sense that it wasn't
No.
You
as...
know the way there's that moment in
You know?
Ratchet and Clank where they're falling through universes and you're like, oh fuck, okay. I was constantly waiting for the swerve ball with Sackboy. I was constantly waiting for like, okay, but what's the thing? Like what, okay, it's a 3D platformer, that's cool, but like why do I care about this?
Yeah.
Never came.
It
This-
looked like a PS3 game to
Yeah,
me.
it did. This game isn't made by Media Molecule because they've just finished up on Dreams. There's some Little Big Planet games that have not been made by the core studio, and this is one of them. And like, it does the thing where it's not a 2D side-scrolling platform; it's like a 3/4 higher angle.
And like I do like that a lot.
Yeah,
Like, I
so-
love
so-
that in Super Mario World 3D.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely feels like a game from a few years ago that's coming out now.
If I was the person who edited this reel, I would have put it before Ratchet and Clank, because it felt like a natural build to it, and
Yeah,
it felt
for
like
sure.
a drop afterwards.
This was definitely a lull in the presentation. Then there was Destruction All Stars, which is a cross between Fortnite and Rocket League.
I thought this looked cool.
This is cosplay the game.
Yeah.
This looked cool, but I will never play that.
I'll see how much you can fuck people up in it.
They had a bunch of characters I recognized from Overwatch as unoriginal new characters. I saw the Lucio, I saw the Diva. They were all there.
Oh, totally. Yep.
He even ran on the wall. Like, it was all there. We had Kena, Bridge of the Spirits. This is the game that was like this looks like an Annecy
Yes,
short film.
yes,
This is a very
100%.
French animation because it was the one where it's like inspired by Princess Mononoke, but also Wakfu.
Was this the one with the little like black creatures?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
cute fuzzy
Okay,
black guys
okay.
with the big.
Fuck this game.
I thought it was super generic looking.
Yeah. Video game, the video game.
Yeah. And this is like, okay, we're all animators. We've seen these little mascot like characters before. Like they're just in everything.
This is us at our
Yeah, like
top
I
cynical.
was,
Yeah.
I was streaming this and like I could tell people were into it, but I was kind of like, But now that I've sat with it for a while, this does not need to exist.
It looks great, but like.
It looks nice, but yeah, it would wanna.
yeah. Like the environments and some of the monster designs like kicked it, but those little characters just turned me
Even
off
the
straight
monster
away.
designs, like the kind of. There's that monster with like the kind of wooden looking skull and the lights shining out. Like, fuck off.
I think when you're in animation for so long, there's a real received design where you can see the DNA so clearly, and it's just like,
Yeah.
This is
but this is-
concept art, the game.
yeah, exactly. But we are three animators talking about this to other people, and might just like that might have felt fresh, but to me, it felt very stale.
Yeah. Then there's Goodbye Volcano High, which was the 2D animated game. This game definitely stood out among the others.
For sure. I would have loved to know what kind of game it is.
I
Yeah.
feel like this might be a like visual novel style game, and I thought the artwork was really beautiful. Like this
Yeah,
was
it
some
was.
really nice 2D animation that like was really surprising to see in a PS5 launch event. Like it's a
Yeah,
real
yeah.
indie game that they're kind of putting
I think
forward.
overall, I think it was cool that there was a lot of games of varying art direction. It wasn't all photorealistic
Yeah.
3D games.
I feel like
Totally.
so much with these like announcements you get like, did you see the particles?
Yeah.
And it's like this was just so many different art styles and so beautiful.
And there's a fear with that, especially after PS4, where it really feels like photorealism is the goal.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that it's not that. Because
No, it's
even like
not.
the realistic games were pretty fucking out there. But how'd you guys feel about this one? Did you get a good vibe from it?
I thought the vibe was unique and interesting, and those designs were really cute. Like I like dinosaur people. They made those.
Yeah,
they made
they
them
were
cute.
real.
Yeah, they're all
like, they
pterodactyl
were really
dudes.
ugly and cute.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like I'm really happy that it was there.
At the start of this game, at the start of the trailer, I was like, oh, I'm pretty fucking into this. By the end of it, I was starting to get... There's a fine line you walk with this kind of stuff where, like, there's a very established genre of, like, teen coming of age that we've talked about recently. Like, fucking Perks of Being... People love that movie.
They really
People
do.
fucking came after me for not liking that movie.
It was so funny. People ignored your Final
I
Fantasy
was
VII
fucking
rant. and
bracing
went
for
you.
like the 10-minute just destructive rant of Final Fantasy VII. No one was upset. People just descended on me for Perks of a Wallflower.
How dare you?
Look, people have bad taste.
You know what? Like it's like I could see. Again, if I was at a particular point in my life, I could absolutely see the value of that movie. It just did not click with me as a fucking cynical, broken 26-year-old man.
Oddworld Soulstorm. It's a new Oddworld game in the world of Oddworld.
I can't believe you get away with that.
This was one of those things where like Abe is such an iconic character that it was nice to see him. Will I buy this? Will I play this? I don't know.
I thought this
cool.
looked kind of shit.
I thought it looked cool.
I thought the gameplay looked rough.
It looked really awful in that you're like sacrificing stuff, and it's like the machine is bad. You got to fight the machine.
I thought it just looked unpolished.
Really? I thought the environments kind of looked big and spacey, but it kept its kind of like 2D, 3D kind of...
I don't know. It's early on. Maybe it's too
Yeah.
early to say, but
But again, it's not something I would play either.
No, like I played a bit of the remake of the original game that came on PS4. I think it's cool that Sony are leaning into the whole nostalgia thing, because like game companies don't really do that, or like
We're
Nintendo
in like
does.
remake the hell right
No,
now.
but you know how they open it with the tunnel, and they were like, look at all our history of our games, and it was cool to kind of see them remember old franchises like that. And so it's cool that there's a new Oddworld game. I thought it was cool that there was a bit at the end where he was like cutting the ties on the like string that like keeps his mouth closed, because that's always bothered me, and I'm glad he's gonna finally speak.
you're gonna say something.
He's gonna fucking say it. He's gonna fucking tell us how to think.
Yeah.
Good man, Abe.
What do you
He's
think
good.
his first words are?
Gotta go fast.
Follow me.
I love ass.
PlayStation 6.
You're like, whoa. It's the last game for the PS5.
Last game for the PS5. Ghostwire Tokyo.
Presented by Shinji Mikami
This
himself.
was insane. I never expected this to be first person.
I spent the entire trailer getting over the fact that it was first person.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that.
Like
What
the
fuck?
original like trailer they showed of this had such a moody, like
Yeah.
low, slow, and they were like uncover
I
the
fully
secrets of
expected
Tokyo.
to be cutting ghosts up with a samurai sword.
I thought the hand animations were nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a Naruto first person
Yeah, he's
shooter.
doing like his chakra spells.
A lot of that stuff looked cool. There was stuff in the trailer. I would say I'm a little less hyped on it now than I was.
Same.
Slenderman.
Yeah, Slenderman's in the game.
Like, oh, that feels very 5 years ago.
It didn't feel like its announcement trailer. It felt, I don't know. I went from being hyped for this to being like, this is not for me.
I think aesthetically it looks cool, but it kind of feels like it looks like Killer 7 but on a browser in 2020.
I'm still like I'm still curious. Like they still have my attention with this, you know, and I want this to be great. Yeah, it's just
I really like the colors and the art direction. There's still some of the enemy designs were a bit kind of gooey.
Yeah, there were some really cool yokai designs and then some not cool designs. And
Yeah.
you're just like, okay, what's happening here?
Yeah, I really wish there was more neon fluorescent Shibuya stuff
I feel
going
like
on.
there's a confidence about that trailer that feels a bit diminished from the original. Like I remember in the original it was just like, what the fuck are we seeing? This is crazy. And with this one it's like, oh, it's a first person video game.
It's now something that I need to see review scores before I would pick it up.
Yeah. I'm curious. Like I want to like this.
Then there's Jet, the Far Shore, which is it's made by Super Brothers, who made a game on iOS,
Sword and
Sorcery, which was a cool artistic game that came out almost 10 years ago on the iPhone and original iPad, and they're making a new game, and I don't know how much of this has been in development that it's a bit too navel-gazy, but
This was the space game.
This looked really visually interesting after all the brightness and all the bright colors. It was really muted colors, sepia color palette. But like away from this trailer, I don't know what type of game this is. I don't know what type of gameplay this is.
And
like,
honestly,
to me it was just motion graphics.
I'd actually kind of forgotten about it until we talked about it.
Yeah, it's a motion graphics teaser. There's Godfall, which we knew about already because that was teased a couple months ago.
I think it leaked or something.
Yeah, it
didn't
leaked. I think this is like the first next gen game that was kind of like confirmed.
People in my chat were not into this. I thought this looked cool.
This to me looks like an online Destiny style game that I will not play because I have Destiny.
To me, this looked like the most Gearbox looking thing ever, especially the music.
Gearbox?
Gearbox
Yeah, it's
are
a
making
Gearbox
Godfall.
game. This
But like when I think of Gearbox, I think Borderlands.
Yeah, this reminded me of Borderlands. Like the trailer was really.
This looked way more like Dark Souls than Borderlands to me.
To me, it looked like Dark Souls before, but this trailer made me think of Borderlands.
This like the armor design I think is really nice, but this looks like a game where their goal is to make an online service, and that's the goal.
If that's what this is, I'm not interested.
I think it's 100% an online service.
Yeah.
Solar Ash. Is this Solar Ash Kingdom?
It's Solar Ash from the makers of Heart Machine, who did Hyperlight Drifter, which this is the game I was most excited about. I'm so cool they're making a new game and they're doing a 3D.
I'm kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
Every time I see this game, my excitement just kind of plummets. I feel like Hyperlight Drifter is this beautiful fucking crazy looking game. I feel like Solar Ash looks like everything else.
Like to me, I thought of that game Rhyme, where it kind of feels like a HD version of a GameCube game.
I think Rhyme looks nicer than this.
Rhyme is amazing. Rhyme is such an underrated game, but like this kind of reminded me of the thing where you're just kind of in this forgotten world, which is definitely like a thing
what
they do.
What do you think of it, Niamh?
I haven't played Hyperlight Drifter. I thought the colors looked nice and stuff, but it gave me nothing. Like I don't know what this game is.
Yeah, and like at this point, I really would have liked more because there's every chance that we see the gameplay of this, and it's like, oh, that's what we're fucking doing.
I like the gameplay because the character moved really, really fast,
but there wasn't any.
It had like a little bit where like the character is like getting ready to go through like a valley, like it looked like a skate park kind of world. Where they're kind of like
that might not have been a gameplay. I thought like in the sense that like was Anodyne 2D.
Yeah.
and then the next Anodyne was 3D.
Yeah. It switches
I thought
to,
it was kind of cool that there was something like, because it feels very, the DNA of Hyper Light Drifter is there and its design,
Yeah, it's got the same aesthetic.
like, and the color palette and stuff. And I was just like, it'll be interesting to see what this is from the jump to 2D to 3D for this studio.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know if it'll work, but like,
I think
it'll be interesting.
I think so far, everything I've seen of it, you're losing a lot in translation. Because, like, you know, Hyper Light Drifter, it was visually very dense. Like, there was a lot going on. Like, just even in how enemies moved, in the architecture, in the plant life, it was all really beautifully rendered. I don't get any of that from this. But, like, I think Hyper Light Drifter, one of my favorite games this generation. I'd love to be wrong about all this stuff. I'm really looking for a reason to get excited about Solar Ash, and I feel like they have not given me one. But we'll see.
I'm hopeful.
Bryan, we're not hopeful. We're disappointed.
Well, overall, I'm always disappointed.
I would love to be wrong on this one.
Cautiously optimistic.
Hitman 3.
I like that this seemed like a more narrative-based experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked the last few Hitman games. They've been a really like fun experience, and I really actually do like the story of Hitman. I think it's kind of like, I like the agent. Like, I think it's kind of fun. I liked how Bondian this looked.
It's weird because like I'm not that into the new Hitman games. I like them, but like when I take a step back and look at how they revitalized that franchise, I think it's fucking amazing what they've done. And it's just, I have no criticisms. It's just not something I enjoy that much. And it's really cool to see them be successful. And after all the trouble that studio's gone through, I'm really glad that they're like getting a third game.
Yeah.
And the idea that it's that kind of gameplay with more story-rich stuff in it, it does feel like a Bond Skyfall kind of situation.
Yeah, it does. No, I really like the story that it's like the 1% of the 1%, where it's just like the wealthiest people who just get to play in their own like murder playground, and he's just a pawn in it. It's got some good globe-trotting locations. Like, it looked like it had a Kabukicho Tokyo location. The first one is in the Emirates, and it's a high-rise skyscraper. I really hope that location doesn't have a ground. Like, I
don't think it will.
I think it'd be cool that it only takes place like, 50 stories high.
Have you ever played these, Bryan?
I've watched videos. I don't think I'd like playing them.
Astro's Playroom.
Sure, this will probably be pre-installed on the system.
Yeah,
Yep,
for sure.
Sure. Little Devil Inside.
I really liked how this looked.
This had such a
loved
nice
how this
aesthetic.
looked.
This was such an animator game.
Yep.
100%.
But like, this is another thing where it's like got that chunky origami aesthetic.
Oh yeah, but everything from like the shapes of the people, like there's that one shot of the tall man standing in his little tall toilet.
I really like how it's 2D and 3D. Like, and depending on like, it's got the flat visuals or the 3D exploration.
They have the flat visuals to kind of communicate this narrative, and then the 3D exploration of it.
I'd love to know more about what this game is.
Me too.
But part of that is
kickstarted.
Yeah, the game is a Kickstarter from 2015, and it's at the end of development.
But part of it's just like they made me so intrigued just with the general like look and vibe. It looks incredible. Bad Name.
Little Devil Inside.
I think so.
Especially the way it was presented on screen, because Little Devil was way bigger than the inside. So I was like, Little Devil, and then I was like, inside. But yeah, not the best name, but I loved how it looked.
Probably one of my most anticipated games.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the best
Yeah.
on the list.
NBA 2K21. You guys want to get sweaty?
Yeah, High Sweat Tech. This is a game. Yeah, it's at Holiday 2020. This is your annualized sports game, everyone.
I just love how I've never seen a real person that sweaty.
Sure. Next game?
Yep. Bug Snacks.
This is the Vor game.
Yeah, this is the game from the people that made Octodad. I thought this game looked really annoying.
Yeah.
I thought it looked great.
I knew it.
I love the
Fucking
idea that
knew
you
it.
would eat a chip and then your arm is a curly fry. Like, that's fun.
Yeah, and I'm in Devore.
Basically, the whole concept is you are what you eat, so whatever the character eats, they become. I don't know how it's going to work. It looked silly, and it looked like Muppet characters eating food and then becoming food.
The Muppet characters looked like the next door neighbors in Gumball.
Yeah.
They looked exactly like those character designs, and once I noticed that, I was like, are they gonna get in trouble?
Real flappy mouth, like, merp, merp
Yeah,
characters.
with the goofy nose.
Yeah.
They've got like a Grover nose.
This is 100% a game I would have to see reviews for. I'm not, like, going to get it, but I kind of like the idea of turning into food that you eat.
It won me over a bit more as the trailer went on, but yeah, I was just kind of like, okay.
That strawberry was so fucking annoying.
We went from really, really beautiful high fidelity kind of gameplay to kind of this that felt very old in its aesthetic.
Yeah, totally. Octodad was really funny.
Yeah.
Demon Souls remake.
To nobody's surprise, Demon Souls remake has been confirmed.
Yeah. I'm really at a point where I don't want any more remakes.
This is being done by Bluepoint, who are the remaster studio.
That's the thing. If you're gonna get someone to remake it, like, these are the fucking guys.
I love Shadow of the Colossus remake. That is one of the fucking...
Did these do the Metal Gear Solid remake? The Metal Gear Solid 3 remake?
I think
they
so.
might have, yeah. And that's an amazing remake.
They're based in Texas and they're made up of ex-Metroid Prime staff.
Oh, weird.
They just know how to make a game.
So here's a thing. I haven't played Demon Souls, and I thought this trailer looked cool. I really like the stingrays that were floating in the sky.
Yeah, so many monsters.
Really, like, those monster designs are cool. So this is something I would totally play. Afterwards, the person I was watching the stream with, Justice Kazi, he played for me the original intro to this. And kind of like Shadow of the Colossus, where there's this kind of mystique of something not there, because there's like kind of like the clarity isn't as rich.
It's
you know
got
what I
hinted
mean?
storytelling.
Yeah. That kind of felt a little lost in it. Like, this is totally something I would play because I've not experienced
this totally
it
felt
before.
like, here's a bunch of monsters, like, go kill them.
Yeah, where when I watched the original intro of Demon Souls, it felt way more mysterious to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't see what's there. So, like, I think that's an interesting, like, concept. Like, this is such a, like, thesis crap, but, like, about, like, what is lost in the transition of, like, really high fidelity versus kind of stuff left in the wings of imagination. But it's interesting, and as someone who hasn't played Demon Souls, this is something I would.
Yeah,
pick
like,
up.
I've never beat Demon Souls. I've played it a couple of times. I'm
like,
gonna buy this. I'm not, like, super psyched about it, but yeah, I'll buy it.
Yeah, they came out like 12 years ago, and it was kind of underlooked at the time.
Yeah, because no one, as weird as it sounds, no one knew that we were playing a Souls game because Souls games didn't exist, and people were just like, "This is hard and the controls are slow." Deathloop.
To me, this was the best trailer.
Yeah, this looked great.
I just think it did a great job of, like, getting you interested in the game, explaining the gameplay, the world, but having, like, flashy motion graphics as well. I think, like, as marketing, it was, like, firing on all cylinders.
For a new IP, I think it sold it very hard.
Yeah.
Arcane are so great of tying in their world, their gameplay, and their graphic design. So the, like, Saul Bass kind of Vertigo style
lovely.
graphic design.
I
with
love that retro
world.
future stuff. It's so good.
Like, it all felt like just fit together so perfectly with the music design of it. They have such a realized world already that I thought this trailer just looked great.
And just the fact that, like, you have your 8 targets, and, like, you've already built the story in your head. Like, it's a really simple video game story, but you're gonna, like, make it as complicated or as simple as you want.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to play because, like Dishonored and Prey felt like, you know, sometimes you, like, inch your way through that, and this felt so fast for an Arcane game.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, this next one. Guys, as the hardcore Resident Evil fan of this podcast, would you mind if I said a few words? I think for, you know, a lot of Resident Evil fans, the last, 10 years have been really difficult because it's just disappointment after disappointment, and Capcom have taken the series in an abysmal direction, and what was once fear and real has become a cheesy low budget horror movie. And it's been very difficult watching the... I'm nearly done. And this next part, it's not even insulting. It's not demeaning. It's not anything. It's been very difficult watching those of a simple nature eat every piece of swill they're fed.
You dick.
Get out.
And all I can say is, as the Resident Evil fan of this podcast, it's so exciting to see what's potentially a real return to form.
The sequel to 7, your favorite game.
The sequel to Resident Evil 4.
So this is Resident Evil 8.
It's Village Resident Evil 8 in the title, kind of, if you squint. It's like funny. I watched the developer conference after, and they were like, "It's not Resident Evil 8 Village, it is Village."
But with an 8 in the.
But they were like, "But we allude to it that it's 8."
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's
this
like,
is
just
the
call it
8th
Resident
mainline
Evil 8.
core
Yeah.
game
It's
of the
Resident Evil
series.
8, and everyone's going to call it Resident Evil 8 because you put the number 8 on screen
they're
and
so
the words
fucking
Resident
vague.
Evil, you fucking clown. Your game looks really good.
This takes place in a Romanian village. You play as Chris Redfield.
You play as Ethan
You play as Ethan.
from 7.
Chris has just gotten more fridge-like, hasn't
Yeah,
he?
tanky old Chris comes along, and in the trailer he shoots Mia from 7, and he brings Ethan back into the fold.
Why does Ethan matter?
He doesn't. I like Ethan for the fact that he's
He's
no
no
one.
pers-
He is literally
He doesn't even have a face.
player surrogate.
Yeah.
He does have a face. He's blonde.
Oh yeah, but his face is in the mud, and you need to
Yeah.
like look behind underneath the mud. See his face. Chris Redfield has the exact hairstyle and coat as Lauren Malvo from season 1 of Fargo, but a more buff version of him.
That's so funny. In my mind, I was like, oh, he kind of looks like Barnett from Love
Umbrella.
is Blind.
Oh no, the guy from Umbrella Academy as well.
Oh, yeah.
Just like a top
time.
heavy man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this looked excellent. This is exactly what I wanted to see from a Resident Evil. The shotgun witch scared the fuck out of me.
The werewolf.
Oh my god, I am so excited for this game. I really hope that they don't fuck it up, because I know that like we can't take another bad Resident Evil game.
I think Resident Evil has been just like getting better and better and better. 7 was good.
She's just joking.
2
folks.
remake was
You
amazing. 2
fucking
remake
loon.
is one of the best video games
2
ever made.
remake is a fucking piece of shit puzzle game where a screensaver chases you.
3 remake was great as well, and
No,
I'm really
Niamh,
excited.
look into your own heart. You know that's not true.
It was just
You
short.
remake
It
was
was just
you
short.
don't like it.
Tree
I'm
remake was
excited.
remake was a disappointing gem.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a gem that you need to buff.
It was like
But,
a gem made of shit.
But 8, I love how this looks. I love how you jump from farmer in
So
a
we're in
flat
agreement.
cap. Yeah, that this looks fucking great.
Yeah,
to
first
kind
good
of
Resident Evil in fucking...
Shut up, John. To like vampire lady in a huge like high fashion hat, and it's super cool. I love how this looks.
So excited. So word is that internally this was actually a different game for a long time. This wasn't a Resident Evil. I think that's very apparent, but fuck it, I am so happy that they're just like...
Own it, lean into it, make it look weird.
yeah.
messy.
They're just like, let's make a weird Resident Evil, and I'm so excited.
I really hope with the werewolves, like, it's still kind of like a first-person action where you have to like deal with them. But
Yeah.
I hope they have silver bullets and there's like different bullet mechanics, because you know the way they do that with like some of the heavier weapons, you know, with like acid
totally.
and fire.
I think
flame rounds.
let's make this like, if we're getting weird with this, let's get fucking weird. Let's have the gameplay weird and tense and
Yeah,
precise.
I really hope
It
there's
seems
fun
like it's going
mechanics
to be
with each
more
enemy.
action based,
Yeah.
like because like 7 was kind of slow, so like this seems more actiony.
I feel like the way you ruin this game is take that setting and those characters and give you a machine gun.
Oh, John, they might.
I really hope there's
Okay,
not like
if they do, we all have to admit that Resident Evil's been bad, and it's been bad for 10 years.
I really hope
It's
there
just
isn't
fucky.
like
It's not bad. It's just weird.
I don't want there to be the enemies from Resident Evil 7 where it's that like Mold Man.
That game's so fucking bad.
But the
It's
mold
so
is going
bad.
to be in it. The mold is an infection.
Resident Evil 7 is 3 good hours and then shit.
I know, but Resident Evil is this game
love those
series
hillbillies
where
so much.
they will continue over some of this lore. So the mold shit is gonna be in it. I think Ethan's
Why do you
infected
think the
of
mold
it
shit will be in it?
because Ethan could only connect his hand back to himself because he was already pre-infected with the mold virus.
Okay, like, that's okay. As long as there's no mold people.
No, I don't think there'll be mold people, but I think Ethan is probably infected in something, and to some degree, because how else could you get?
I mean,
touched?
aren't we usually with
Also,
something?
also it showed a baby.
Oh, I've already been on this. They showed a key image, which is basically a mandrake root.
Oh yeah.
That's in the shape of a fetus.
baby plant. Yeah, the fetus thing. Yeah.
And if any of you have watched Del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, they put the mandrake root under the pregnant mother who's losing her baby and stuff, because the mandrake root is really related to fertility and
It
childbirth
enriches
and all of
fertility,
this.
yeah.
There's loads of babies in the trailer of this. There's also the four-winged angel. Cerebrum, who's in this, who is connected to Genesis. So there's loads of Bible religious
If
shit
an angel
already.
showed up in Resident Evil, I'd shit myself.
There's just it's loads
I
of
really hope there's
Romanian medieval witchcraft plus Genesis Bible shit.
Do you think since it's Romanian, will they have like some sort of Vlad the Impaler vampire thing?
What if they're having werewolves?
All bets are off.
Yeah,
Okay,
anything can happen here.
Dark
And, like-
universe is finally happening.
And
everyone.
that fancy lady in her fancy hat was drinking blood from a hand stump. She had a reflection, so depending on how they're dealing with vampires in this, she might be a vampire. She might
could
not
be turning. Could be at that 2-day phase. We don't know.
But like even the fact that we're having a conversation like this about this already from a trailer makes me excited for this game. There was so much in
I
it.
genuinely don't know how you nail Resident Evil 8 so much hard. Like, I feel like when I was a kid and Resident Evil 2 came out, the idea of Resident Evil 8 would have sounded so fucking crazy and nightmare. Like, what the fuck would they even do? And this is it. Like, this is how you... And God, I hope this game's fucking good.
I'm so happy.
All jokes aside, like, this is the shit I want from Resident Evil, and I am so excited.
This was the hypest moment of the show for me, for
definitely.
sure.
I'm so happy they've gone back to a European village as well.
Yeah.
Pragmata.
This is The Last of Us 3. It's a sad dad game with a daughter he must protect.
I think there was a bit where I was like, oh shit, I hope they're on the moon. And
Yeah, they are.
yep, that's about all I have to say about that.
It's made by Capcom. Who knows what that means?
I really thought it was a Kojima game.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
it kind of has that vibe, but it gave you nothing. No gameplay, no nothing. It was just kind of mood piece with a
Yeah.
weird space boy and a
Magic
tiny
daughter.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there was nothing in this I could connect to being a game, and so I don't really have an opinion on it.
Then they ended with a new Horizon game, Horizon 2.
Forbidden West.
Sure.
Sure.
Did you guys... I played the original Horizon.
You're the only one of
I
us who's
played it for 10 hours and I was so fucking bored and I just got rid of it. It is just like the previous Horizon game, and like the stuff in this trailer looks like it's going to solve a lot of my issues with it. The previous Horizon game was just like a dumbed down Tomb Raider with a bigger map, but it's still the same thing where like you just have valleys, and if you try and go up any incline, you just slide down the incline and you're just doing radio towers to unlock submissions. It's one of those third-person skill tree games that was just oversaturated to a point. And like the stuff they showed in this trailer where it looked like Aloy could go underwater and she could scale mountains looks promising, but that is still all just cinematics that doesn't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
Like, this was a beautiful looking trailer and all the environments look nice. I try and question why me specifically haven't played Horizon, because it feels like such a neat
something
game.
I have been trying to figure out for the longest time, because you play as a cool girl, she has a bow and arrow, and there's like nature. That's everything you like.
It's the nature that bothers me. It doesn't make sense.
There's like, so like in Horizon, it's that the only surviving living animal is a human, essentially, and that like all the other like creatures are mechanical.
And they showed
substitutes.
more like animals in this, but there's something about the world that feels so fake. It feels like really like, and like this is a beautiful trailer, and I don't want to poo on anyone who's like super interested in this, but for me, it like, I really like environments that feel real, whether they're fictional or like actual based in reality. And Horizon has always felt to me like here's a cool thing, and here's a cool thing, and here's a cool thing. There's no rhyme and reason to it. It's just a whole pile of cool shit put together.
Like, this is a piece of concept art that someone did, and
exactly.
they were like, okay, this is the world it's based in, and built everything around that. Okay.
And like
that makes total sense.
The nature and the geography of it, like while it looks super pretty, doesn't really appeal to me because the rationale behind it doesn't make sense to me.
I get you.
And like,
sure.
I don't know why that's so important, because I was trying to understand why I haven't played this.
That is important because like I feel like at a certain point, like environmental art, it's more than about conveying something beautiful. It's about telling a story.
Yes.
And I think the best environmental art does that. And now I haven't played Horizon and neither of you, so maybe if we did, we'd be like, oh,
it's
actually,
there,
But I get that you don't get that from this at this stage.
Yeah, because like that's something like Breath of the Wild that I didn't like either. Is like I felt like you go to different regions and there wasn't this change or shift in environment that I wanted, other than like it's fire now and it's wet now. Like it was the same type of animal but with a new coat of paint.
In the original game, the original Horizon game, it's just like foresty area and then a more deserty area, but they're kind of truncated in the middle by a valley that's a loading barrier.
Yeah,
it's not really an open world game.
Sure,
it's a Tomb Raider with a bigger bowl. Mm-hmm. That's all it is.
And the reason I like Tomb Raider is because it's fantastical, but the fantastical is set in a reality.
Yeah.
That was the PlayStation conference.
Yeah, they
great, honestly.
Yeah, fantastic. Xbox would really want to bring it hard, and I feel like when you compare this conference to the Xbox conference, they don't even feel like the same thing.
Isn't it nuts that they announced the Xbox and the visual of it at the Game Awards? Like, that feels insane. Like, why did they do that? Like, it took the hype away from the I think they thought it would be hype.
I realized that I'd forgotten what the Xbox looked like until this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It hadn't registered in my brain that it was just that tower.
Yeah, it's a coffin.
And it's interesting because like it's so like that's like the slick clean design, but if it was crazier looking, it would probably stick out in our mind.
Yeah.
And like the Pro to the PlayStation 5 looking as crazy as it does, it's memorable.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll get the system at launch? Or
Yep.
Like, I am definitely a launch person.
I probably won't get until 2021.
Brian, if you're off the podcast.
Yeah, you're on a video game podcast.
But I don't want to fucking... The launch game is Spider-Man. I don't want to fucking play that shit.
There'll probably be more than one.
I don't know if that... I think a lot of these games are out in 2021, 2022.
Okay, well, you can find us your replacement in that case.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, I'll get it, but honestly, the main reason I'm getting it is because, like, this podcast, and it's my job to talk about that stuff. If that wasn't the case, I don't know. I think I probably still would, honestly. I think I'm ready for a new console, but we'll see. Let's say we do some emails.
We've got one that's kind of easy to answer.
Go for it, yeah.
Okay. We have an email address. It's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
That's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
We're going to do one email because it's 3
fucking
hours.
past midnight. I want these two out of my goddamn apartment.
That's fine. This one is from Musty, and it is your favorite years in gaming. Without going too much into the question, Musty's favorite year is 2017, which I agree is a fantastic year. That's the year Pyre, Prey, Nier Automata, plenty of other games came out. Are there any games from yesteryear that harken back to you? Because I have a few years off the top of my head.
Go on.
for it.
You're such a year boy, though. I don't remember anything.
Yeah, everything's just an amorphous glob of time.
Growing up, the triple threat that was 1998, 1999, and 2000 was amazing. Stuff with Sony with all the Final Fantasy games all came out 1 year after the other around then. You had the Legend of Zelda games. It was just a really interesting time for 3D video games. More recently, from the previous decade, is probably 2013. That's when a lot of later, like final releases for the PS3 and 360 came out that year. A lot of kind of trilogy games were ending. I know Dead Space 3 ended, Bioshock Infinite ended, which is not a very good game, but people liked it at the time. The Last of Us 1 came out that year. GTA 5 came out that year, but also same that year in 2013 is when the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out. So it was just a really, really exciting year for games. And then I think 2015 was a big year for games as well, because that's when a lot of like the next gen games for the PS4 and the Xbox One started coming out.
Yeah, 97, 98 is a big period for me. A lot of my favorite games came out in 1997. You had GoldenEye for the N64, Final Fantasy VII, Ultima Online, which is one of my favorites ever, Star Fox 64, Dungeon Keeper, Fallout came out that year, the Tomb Raider 2 came out that year, and a lot of good shit from that year. And Tekken 3 also came out, and Worms 2. But then 1998 is really, really good as well, because that was like Pokemon Red and Blue and loads of other stuff.
See, for me, it kind of blends in from like summer to summer rather than end of year to start of year.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, that's kind of how you measure time.
Yeah. There was definitely like the games that were the most formative to me came out in that time.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Niamh?
It's so, like, it's hard to think of years. I'm not really I find it hard to solidify dates on things. Like, I don't know, time is weird. I'm going to just try out 2007, because Halo 3 came out, and The Darkness came out, which I had a lot of fun with, and B-Movie, the game, came out in 2007.
2007 was a good year, technically. Like, at that point, the Xbox...
You're such a freak. Why do you
Brian,
know this?
Did you know that off the top of your head?
Yeah, like off the top of your head.
Yeah, because at that point, the PS3 and 360 were 2.5 years old, 3 years old. And
I know, but this is 13 years ago. How do you remember this?
Because I like years.
But
and
Brian, like, there's no way to even tell what games came out that year.
You go on Wikipedia and you read it.
Oh, I just don't remember things.
Do you not like look at years and geography and
okay?
No,
find it
never.
Here's the
interesting?
years that I know that shit happened in.
What was the year you?
2020.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We were all born in 2000. Everyone.
Yeah.
We're just a bunch of hip cats who don't have sore knees.
Oh, I don't want the college. What? I don't know.
My tummy hurts because I'm old. I need to eat porridge more.
Oh, I love porridge. Porridge is good, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, I make a sick porridge.
Oh, what? You put an egg in it, don't you?
Okay, well, you don't have to put the egg in. That's eggage. That's different. But no, porridge. You get some porridge, mix it with some milk, heat it on high for 3 minutes, take it out, stir it like the fucking devil's chasing you. Then you put it back in for one. Put it back in for 1 more minute.
Back in where?
The microwave.
Oh no, you do stovetop porridge. You don't do microwave porridge.
Bullshit.
Microwave's gonna like make it all skinny.
Yeah, it's gonna make it like cement.
Not the way I do it. That's why you take it out and you stir it. Then I take it out and it's like it's beautiful. It's like it's kind of solid, but it's kind of liquid, but it all comes perfect. And then you get a banana, you chop the banana up, and then you like form a seal. You submerge the banana completely.
My power, my pleasure, my pain.
So it all kind of liquidizes, and then you put a little drop of honey in there, and you put some walnuts in there. Fucking incredible. I eat that, I'd say 350 days a year.
Patreon shoutouts.
Thanks, Musty.
Thank you, Musty. We have a Patreon, we have a stretch goal, and that's enough about that. We have a
stretch goal, and we're real close.
And now that we're allowed to be in each other's company physically, this is our first time in how many months?
3.
This is our first time sitting together in 3 months. That's why, if you thought this kind of podcast was a bit hyper and fucking weird,
if there's a frightening energy to this podcast, that's the reason.
It's
we're all
the
drinking
first
together
time
and not
we've seen
drinking
each
alone.
other in 3 months.
Yeah. We can make eye contact with each other.
Shenmue
Sick.
2 stretch goal. Let's make it happen, guys. Scam your friends.
No, thank you. We have a Discord. There's a lovely community there. We have a section called Patreon Shoutouts. If you shout us out, it will sound something like this.
This is from Joshua PD, and he says, I am Josh 2.0.
What happened in that show? Was it Jake 2.0?
Jake 2.0.
I've been thinking about that show a lot recently.
Maybe
I don't
we
know
should
why.
do a rewatch and discussion.
I didn't even watch it in the first place.
That's why it ended.
This next one is from Sam. Thank you, Niamh.
Wow.
Shout out for my 29th birthday on May 12th, 2022. When you get this message, would be awesome. Thanks, team. No problem, Sam. Always happy to deliver.
Happy birthday, Sam Sam.
I love you, Sam Sam. You're my favorite ma'am. This is from Master Shrub. Can I get the professor of anime to congratulate Ben for getting his master's degree and taking the next step towards becoming a professor of history?
You'll have to contact the YouTuber Professor Anime for that. I am not affiliated with him, nor do I infringe on his gimmick.
Congratulations, Ben.
Congratulations, Ben. That's amazing. Please, everyone, stop calling me Professor Anime. I know I instigated this, but I'm infringing on someone's gimmick.
He's now called the Nameless, everyone.
The Nameless One. The Infinite.
John, don't get carried away. Come on now.
Okay. Loot drop.
We're at the end of the show. We got some cool stuff for
How
you guys.
How long is this fucking show?
500 hours. No, it is 3 hours and approximately 8 minutes. It's going to wrap up around 3 hours, 10 minutes.
Okay, Niamh, what do you got?
I got People Make Games and Inside Second Life's Most Expensive Brothel. And this is about how sex is sold and how sex work works within Second Life.
What are people buying, Niamh?
They are buying...
is this like a
domination and emotes? Like, you know, okay, you can pay for emotes happening and there's different pieces of furniture that has different sexy or emotes attached to it.
Is anyone like naturally a dom? You know, I'm sorry. Let's just...
As a bottom, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, all bottoms here. So this is...
I'm going to say I did not fist bump anything.
People Make Games Inside Second Life's Most Expensive Brothel. I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was really cool that these women can make money through Second Life. Second Life is fucking weird. I got kicked out of it once for trolling.
We would get fucking kicked out of it for acting the fucking galoot.
But this was fun.
Okay.
I like People Make Games. That's a great YouTube channel. I like Chris Bratt. He was on Eurogamer.
Yeah.
Not Chris Pratt. Chris Bratt.
Yeah.
And he started a channel on his own. Now he's got a team and they're making cool. They really take their time with the videos and they only do like a couple of videos a year, but they're all great.
Good shit. I am going to recommend the video Why Do Horror Games Sound So Beautiful? And this is from the YouTuber Jacob Geller. And Niamh, I think you recommended Jacob Geller a couple of episodes
once, but
ago.
twice, yeah.
And I think you gave him maybe the worst push we've ever given anyone on a loot drop.
Jacob, we're so sorry. Here's John making up for it.
God, yeah. This is an absolutely beautiful video, and I find like talking about sound design and music very difficult in videos, and I think it's something a lot of people kind of struggle with because you either have to go super technical or super like broad, and I think Jacob strikes this really incredible balance where he gives like a lot of meaning and context to a lot of songs that I've loved in horror games and makes me understand why I like them. And I think he's super talented, really, really talented guy, and I just really enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to checking out more of his stuff. Bryan.
Mine is Wrestling with Gaming on YouTube. This is a retrospective video game YouTube channel, but this is a nice collaboration between this YouTuber and a few others, and it's on the history of the Neo Geo. And it's just a console in the 90s that nobody could afford, and they made very expensive games for a very expensive system, and they ran arcade, one-to-one perfect games on a home console, which is insane.
And how much were the games?
They were like fucking $500 or some shit.
It blows my mind every time I hear that.
And I don't know if they were on disc or if they were on like a board, but like it's just this kind of like mythical console trying to like them decoding and explaining and just being like, look, nobody owned this, but like we're gonna try and explain it from like an outsider's perspective, and it's just people piecing together what they know. Because like I think if someone owned this back in the day, they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And now these games can emulate perfect on modern machines, but it's just that kind of illusion and that kind of mysterious aspect to the Neo Geo.
And guys, that's it. Let's Fight a Boss is back. A small portion of order has returned to the world in what is probably our most chaotic and cursed episode ever.
It's one of my favorite episodes we've ever done.
What the fuck even was this?
It got really weird.
Oh my god, there's several points where...
Remember the man baby?
Oh, he's coming back, don't you worry.
Yeah.
He's getting tucked in the bed soon.
Like, I don't want to spoil the next episode, but I've been working on a kind of man baby character, and it's it's pretty provocative.
John, you gonna put on your jammies for us?
I can't do it. I won't do this. You got me. I got nothing. I can't. No.
One leg at a time.
No, I don't want to be a baby, and I don't like those bits you guys do about me being a baby. They're fucking weird, and they're weirder than
Niamh's having a temper tantrum.
Oh, someone needs their binky.
I think we gotta warm up that milk. Would you like a suckle?
Brian's ready. No, look, we're back. Like, John's kind of weeping. We're back. It's nice to be back. It's nice to record in person with everyone. It's nice to talk to everyone. And oh god, he's actually in tears.
I just want to end the podcast now.
No, we don't have to end it. What are your hopes for the PlayStation 6? I hope there's a baby simulator.
Good night, everyone.